And the first thing I'm seeing that there is uh, a lot of family members on the other side, and they're right now. There's a circle around you. Your family members are kind of forming um, a um, a circle around you.
With
Let me
me.
Yeah, they're around you. I'm picking up more than one spirit guide around you. I'm seeing if there's at least like about four or five of them that are around you. I feel that, let me just see if I can let this person in with the iPhone. Hello, can you hear us?
Hi, this is Monica. Yes, I can hear you. Hi, Shelley.
Okay. Hi, I'm feeling your parents. I'm feeling your grandmother, your grandparents. I'm feeling your parents. Two of them are your parents. Two are grandparents, and now there seems to be an aunt and uncle that's coming in. The uncle would be on your father's side. The aunt would be on your mother's side, and I'm feeling all these family members are you were close to when they were alive, because I feel that most of your family is on the other side. That you do have some family on the physical realm, but a lot of them are on the other side. Um, um, they are saying that you need to that you're doing too much, that you need to slow down because you're doing too much. You tend to be a person that just wants to accomplish things and get things done, and kind of rushes to get them done. They say that you need to slow down, that it's not good for your health, that it is causing too much anxiety and is causing too much stress for you and anxiety, that you need to just not do
Oh,
um, are you there?
yeah, you
Can
were
you still hear
breaking
me?
out. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. Yeah, they say that that they love you very much, and that they're happy that that family is like very important in your life, that you're very connected to family, and they're saying something about a daughter. Do you have a daughter?
oh my God. Yes, but we don't have relationship.
Okay, because they're saying something about your daughter, and they're saying that that they are connecting with your daughter, that they are connecting to her, and that they're trying,
You're breaking out. Hold on.
I'm sorry, I apologize for that. If I keep breaking, if I keep breaking out, I'll just click and come back on. I apologize for that, but I can't use my big computer now because I don't have I need a web camera. But
Okay,
anyway,
well,
they were talking about your daughter, and they were saying, that they are with your daughter. They love you, they love the daughter, and they're doing everything they can to heal the relationship between you and your daughter. And it looks like that they're saying between the month of June and the month of December, around that time period. I know that's a big time period that they're getting, but um, they're saying between that time period that the daughter and you are going to be communicating again, that you are going to reconnect with your daughter, and it's going to start by you and your daughter just being communicating with each other. You know, that she seems to be very emotionally up and down with her emotions right now. I feel she may not be happy at the moment. She's just very up and down with her emotions. I'm kind of feeling she could be depressed.
Well, she's on drugs. She's on drugs. Heavy drugs.
Okay, well, she's severely depressed because of that. She is going through a depression, but there is such a thing as divine intervention, and your family members divine intervention is happening for the divine intervention of your loved ones on the other side. Something will happen that she will end up in a treatment center. You know, I feel that there may be some I'm not trying to upset you, but there could be some problems around the law.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to upset you, but your family members are saying, don't be upset about the problems of the law, that's going to turn out to be the best thing for her, because when she goes to court, because she's probably going to get in trouble for possession of narcotics. And how it's going to happen is she's going to have a fight with a boyfriend, and the police are going to come, the neighbors are going to call, the police are going to come, and she's going to be arrested. But this is going to be the best thing for her, because the judge will order, is not going to put her in, I don't feel him putting her in jail. I feel him, because it's her first offense, she'll be on probation, but she's going to be ordered to go to rehab. And she's going to get clean. So your family members are saying, we have your back. We have your daughter's back. We're helping her. We'll see that she gets help. And then you and your daughter, I feel, in the future can have a relationship again. It's not that she does love you. She's just angry because you're not enabling her. Because you let her know it's not good what she's doing. So I want you to know, your family wants you to know, that in the future your daughter is going to get help, and that you and she could rebuild your relationship.
This sounds like unbelievable almost.
No, this is not my opinion. I don't give my opinion when I do a meeting reading. I connect directly to your guides. Mm-hmm. And this message is not coming from me. This message is coming from your guides.
Thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to let you know, if you go to my page, the Psychic Development Circle with Shelley, you'll see Dean Price's event listed there and other events. And that if you want a reading, just go to my website, Psychic Shelley, SHELLEY, H like in Harry, O like in Oscar, F like in Frank, B as in boy, E as in Edward, R as in Robert. Just go to psychicshelleyhopper.com. I do other types of psychic readings too, but a large percentage of readings I do are tarot or medium. So if you want to take advantage of my special, which is $30 for 30 minutes and $50 for an hour, I would be able to give you a lot more information about your daughter.
Thank you so much.
Or just call me at 818-744-5241. And you're welcome, dear.
Can you repeat one more time?
818-744-5241.
Okay.
And someone else I think is coming in. I don't see them. Let me see if there's a... Oh, okay. They're in here. Oh, all right. We have 7 participants. Let's see if I could get them all on the board. Okay. There's 7 participants. Okay. Monica. Hello, Monica.
Hi, Shelley. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for joining the Spirit Channeling Circle. And um, Monica, I'm picking up someone. I'm picking up someone that may have died young. They don't feel older in age to me. It feels like they died young. Was there someone that you had a close friendship with, or a family member, a younger person that died young?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Let me see what they mean by die young. I think what they I think what it is that the person I'm picking up had young energy. I'm seeing a female with kind of darkish hair and darkish eyes. So maybe I think what she's trying to tell me by dying young, because I feel a family member, is was there an aunt or mother that on the other side? Do you have any aunts on the other side?
I have an aunt on my mother's side that I lost maybe 3-4 years ago.
Oh, okay. I think what I'm saying, I feel that why I'm picking her up as young is because even though maybe she was older in age, her energy, she was very vibrant. She had a lot of energy. She had a lot of energy, and she was vibrant, and she wasn't like an old person, you know. Sometimes when people get older, they're kind of set in their ways, and they're very reserved. She wasn't like that. Right. She was a very open-minded person. I feel she was very interested in spirituality, and she was interested in metaphysics, and they even had some involvement with a church. Does she have some involvement with church?
She used to go to the temple, but I don't know if she went to church.
Maybe the temple then. Okay, I mean, you know, she was saying she went to someplace. And she said church instead of temple. So I'm sorry, but I guess what she meant was temple, because it looked like she was involved with some kind of spiritual, spirituality, and that she was did things to help animals. She loved animals. I feel she had pets around her. And she did things in the community. Her job seems to involve working with the public.
I didn't know her that well, so I don't know.
Yeah, she's saying she used to help people and animals. And so I feel your aunt's coming through, and she says you're a beautiful soul, and she's happy to connect with you, and she's happy to be around with you, that you are a beautiful soul. And she's saying something about you being a healer, or that you have an interest in healing. Are you doing anything with healing?
No, I don't even know what that means for me, but I've heard that so many people, when they've read for me, they said that to me, that I am a healer. But
I guess what they mean is that we're all born with gifts. And even though perhaps you're not doing healing, you are a healer because this is something that you were born with.
What's up?
This is something that you brought into your life. You brought it into your life, and that you in the future, she says, that you're going to be kind of drawn towards the medical field or towards the healing field, that you're going to kind of maybe going in that direction with your future in terms of a career, being drawn to medical or holistic. So I feel that might be something you thought about, but you're not doing now.
Right. Yeah, I've thought about it, but I don't know what to do, so I haven't done anything about it.
What you might want to do is just start off by going on Google and put healing classes, and or check out healing centers, because healing centers have healers that teach healing, our metaphysical bookstores. But I think the best thing to start is just to go to Google and just put holistic healing classes, and you'll have a lot of classes coming up. She says that you need to do healing, she says that's your destiny.
Mhm.
But I just want to let you know, Monica, that I have a special on psychic reading, $30 for 30 minutes and 50 for an hour. If you want to connect to get a more longer reading and connect to your aunt, or if you want like another kind of reading, so just go to Psychic Shelley, and you can find me listed on Dean Price's page. Also go to psychicshelleyhoffberg.com or call me at 818-744-5241. And go to the Psychic Development Circle with Shelley if you would like to join. That has all my events.
Okay. Sounds great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I'm going to connect with Richard. Hello, Richard. Richard, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm here.
Hi, good to. Thank you for joining me. Yes, I know you sent me a lot of RSVP. I know you sent me a lot of RSVP, and that you talk a lot. So I'm glad you were able to make the Spirit Circle.
Thank you.
Yes, I feel Richard. I'm seeing it's either a father, a grandfather, or uncle, because I'm getting a male spirit around you that had a dark hair and had.
See ya.
I see you too. Okay, that had dark hair and dark eyes, and it feels like that this family member may have passed away from an illness. Did you have a father, Richard, or uncle or grandfather that they passed away maybe in their 50s or 60s because they got ill?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I think so. I'm not actually sure how old my grandfather was when he passed away.
I'm kind of feeling maybe 50s or 60s. It doesn't, I could be wrong about the age. He could be older in age, but sometimes when you pick up age differently, it could be again like Monica. I was telling her about her aunt being younger for her age. I think I'm picking up your grandfather as younger for his age, because he looked younger. Yeah. But I feel that he did get sick, and that is why he passed away, because he got sick.
Right.
But he's saying, that you need to be, because I feel you work, but I would just say like a regular academical job. And your grandfather is saying that you need to do something with psychic work, or doing involving psychic readings. I know that you know how to do the tarot, so he's saying that you need to do psychic readings for people. That this is a year for you to open up to your psychic gifts. This is a year for you to develop your psychic gifts and open your psychic gifts. That this is a year for you to do that.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, and he's saying something about a relationship coming in. Yeah, because I feel you date, but I feel that maybe it's been over a year since you've really been in a relationship, and he's saying that's because the right woman has not come. that you haven't been in a relationship. But he's saying that this year you're meeting the right woman, and he's saying, I'm going to help you connect to the right woman, that I'm going to help you connect to her. So this is a relationship year for you, Richard.
Okay, well, I need all the help I can get.
Yeah, your grandfather's saying, he's saying this is a relationship year. She's coming around May, June, and she has dark hair and she has dark eyes, and you're going to be in a relationship.
Okay, sounds good. I'll look forward to it.
All right. I'm glad. Thank you for connecting with me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Melinda, are you there, Melinda? Melinda, are you there?
You mean Melanie?
Melody, yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Melody.
Hi.
Yeah, hi, Melody. Hi.
Hi.
Weren't you at the MeWe fair?
Which fair?
MeWe fair?
Me where? No.
Oh, okay. I was just asking because I know I've seen you before. It's for Dean Price, and the good news is Dean said he might be doing some psychic fairs in person psychic fairs in the future.
Oh, that's good. I come on to these sometimes, so I've been on these before with you.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah, I remember talking to you.
Yeah.
I feel, Melody, that there seems to be something going on. Let me see what spirit is coming through, because they're talking about health. It feels like it could that there's like a mother or grandmother on the other side that passed away, that maybe like Richard also had health issues. Did someone pass away because of health issues?
Not recently, but
No,
yeah.
I'm talking about someone on the other side, not someone that recently passed away, but this would be a mother or grandmother, so that would have been a long time ago.
Mhm.
Did any of them have health issues?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't see any passings in the near future. I think the loved ones you have now are going to be around for a while. So this was mother and grandmother, because mother and grandmother is coming through, and the grandmother, of course, being your mother's mother, is coming through. And they're saying something about you setting up a practice, working in your home, setting up a practice and working your home, some kind of practice or business that deals with psychic or metaphysical or healing. Do you do any of those things?
Psychotherapy, but I do dabble with healing too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. The psychic therapy, maybe it could be that. With the psychotherapy, you're going to be taking more of a healing and spiritual approach.
Yes.
So you're going to be incorporating, spirituality, and you're going to be incorporating healing and taking more of a spiritual or healing approach. You will be doing guided imagery, meditations with your clients. You'll be working as a healer to unblock their chakras, doing a lot of chakra clearing, guided meditation, chakra clearing. You'll be incorporating your spiritual and holistic into the psychotherapy. And because of that, you're going to be known. I see you on the internet, on the Zoom, like you're doing your own Zoom webinars. And we'll be teaching workshops that have to do with self-improvement to help people to heal from their issues and to be able to improve their lives. This is what your mother and grandmother are telling me. That's going to happen for you.
Okay. Yeah, I foresee those things, and I've been working towards that.
Yeah.
And
That's
dance
what-
too, a lot of dancing. So
Yeah. You're going to be having workshops. I'm kind of feeling that maybe you worked at a group practice, but are you working at a group practice?
I'm not doing anything right now. I'm kind of in between.
Okay, because there's going to be a group practice. You'll be working in your home, doing things in your home with the workshops and seminars and the Zoom, but there's a group practice, and it looks like it's a pretty large group practice. It doesn't feel like to me it's small. It feels like it's medium or large, that there's going to be a group of therapies. You're going to find out about a space for rent in this group, and that this group has a big conference room.
Okay. Because right now I just updated my resume, so I'm kind of looking for this internship, this job. So
Yeah, you're going to be getting it.
okay, good.
And I think you have an office, but you have the use of a big conference room. You have the use of that.
Okay.
That you have that. It's going to be happening before August.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to let you know, if you would like more of an in-depth reading, my special is $30 for 30 minutes and $50 for an hour. And I am a medium, but I do other a lot of other types of psychic readings. And you just go to my website, Psychic Development, with Shelley, and I have all my events there, and my website is psychicshellycoffer.com.
Could I ask you a question? When you say I'm doing it in my home, I know you said Zoom, but I've also considered like doing something like that actually in my home, in person. So I don't know if that's something that's.
I think you'll do Zoom and in person. I think it's going to start off at Zoom. You're going to kind of see what response you get. And so I think it's going to start off in Zoom, and then yes, you could be doing it in your home, because they got like a good sized living room.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for the confirmation.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you for joining the Spirit Channeling Circle.
Thank you.
Let's see, I talked to you, Richard. iPhone, okay, you have to excuse me if I mispronounce your name, because I think I have a dyslexia spirit guide. Because I am horrible at pronouncing people's names. So, so is it Devita? Is that what it is?
It's Devetta.
Devetta. Oh, okay. Hi, Devetta.
Hi.
Hi. Devetta. I feel, Devetta, that you are very close to a pet. I'm kind of picking up a pet around you. Did you have a small, like, kind of blackish or brownish or kind of a reddish a little dog?
I've had several dogs, but I think I know which one you're talking about when you say close to. He was black.
Yeah, I feel the dog was very close to you. The dog was always would follow you around and would have to be with you all the time. Wanted to be around you all the time and would follow you from room to room. And the dog would get excited and jump on you, when you were home. And when you were coming home, and the dog always would be near the door because he knew when you were coming home, and constantly wanted to be touching you, like right up against you. Like I feel at night, he would be in the bed and he would be up against you, or he would want to be in your lap. And he was, I feel, a small dog, but he's saying, I may be small, but I am mighty. That's what he's saying. Because even though he was a small dog, he didn't think of himself as a small dog. He thought of himself as a big dog, and I feel he was a really good watchdog, really protective of you, and really alert and protected, alert and very protective of you. So I feel that dog is still with you.
Okay.
But he's saying something about a black dog. So if you don't have a black dog, you may be getting one.
Okay.
Have you been thinking of getting a dog?
No, I have 2 dogs right now that are older and a cat that my daughter got.
Well, what color are the dogs?
They're Shih Tzus, so they're white with a little bit of brown.
Oh, all right. I'm not sure who the black dog is. Is there someone in the family that has a black dog?
Mm-mm.
All right. The black dog may be some animals have spirit guides.
Mm-hmm.
And the dog I was just picking up is a spirit guide to the animals you have, but I'm seeing the dog that passed away. I'm seeing him with a black dog. So it looks like that maybe, when he went to the spirit world, he became close to a black dog because your dog is now with a black dog.
Okay.
And so I think that your dog and the black dog, is the spirit guide for the 2 dogs that you have now.
Okay.
Yeah, so that might be why I'm seeing the black dog.
Okay.
So the dog is around you. I feel you were close to your grandmother.
I didn't know my grandma, but I do speak to her.
Yeah, and I'm kind of picking up your father's grandmother. Were you more connected to her?
No.
Was it the mother's grandmother you were more connected to?
None of them.
Oh, you didn't know any of them.
Mm-mm.
Okay, then it's the father's grandmother that's coming through. The mother's grandmother's around you too, but it's the father's grandmother that is, connecting with me. The father's grandmother is saying something about you perhaps in the future doing teaching, healing, working with children, working with pets. She says that you're supposed to be doing that.
Okay.
So she's saying, so if you're not involved with either of those things right now, this might be something you're going to be doing in your future.
Okay. So is she suggesting something I should do for this?
She's saying that you're going to meet somebody that is involved with one of with children, animals, or healing or teaching. You're going to be meeting somebody that's involved with that, and that's how you get into it. Or that you may make a career decision that you want to go in that direction and go to school to get certified. Although you're good at your job that you have now, and you've been doing it a long time, and you're good at it, and you do okay financially, she's saying she doesn't feel that on a soul level that you're really that happy with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, you have a job, you have a career, but it's not really your soul desire, what you on a soul level want.
Exactly.
And she's saying on a soul level that you need to be, looking into those directions.
Okay. But she's saying I'll meet somebody soon that could help me with that?
Yes.
Okay. You did say it's a father's mother, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Does she have a name or?
I don't know. Sometimes I get names, sometimes I get initials. And what I'm seeing in her name is the letter N. And I'm picking up the letter S. I'm picking up a letter N and a letter S. I don't know if it's Nancy because I'm getting Nancy and I'm getting N and S. Was there a Nancy or does she have an N or an S in her name?
The only one I could think of is my uncle that kind of raised me. He had a mom that was around when I was little, and her name was Sarah.
Oh, okay, that's the S. But I'm also picking up a Nancy. Was there anybody on the other side that was a Nancy, or is there some, or does the name Nancy mean anything to you? Is that someone you're connected to?
No.
Okay, then I feel that maybe what Sarah is telling me as the person that's going to be instrumental in you getting into one of these careers is someone by the name of Nancy.
Okay.
So Nancy is someone alive. So she's giving me the Nancy because you're going to be meeting a Nancy, and it's Nancy that's going to be helping you.
Okay.
That's going to be. Oh, someone else joined. Let me see if I can see them in here. Okay, let me see. Oh, I have to let them in. Okay. I don't see a link to let them in. Usually there's a link that says that I click. Let me just click on their name. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, here it is. Unmute. And ask to start video. Okay. All right, there they are. Hi, I'll just call you Jane. Can you hear me, Jane? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you, ma'am.
Can everybody hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jane, can you hear me? Jane, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you do something, check your microphone, because there is like a echoing sound. So maybe just turn your microphone off and then turn your microphone back on, or open the link on the microphone for the audio and check to see if the audio is on. Because I heard you, but I'm having a hard time understanding what you're saying because it's like an echoing sound. So if you could fix that, that would be great. Can I what?
Excuse me, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, it's echoing, but I could hear you. So let me connect to you, Jane. I feel that you are a very family oriented. You're close to your family, and it does look like that you have had that you do have relatives on the other side that have passed away. I see grandparents, there's aunts and uncles, and it looks like one of your parents have passed away. Is your father on the other side, Jane? Hello?
Yes.
Is your father on the other side?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, okay. Because I'm picking up, the family member of your father on the other side. It feels like your father had a dark hair and dark eyes, and was your father African American or Hispanic? Hello?
Hispanic.
Hispanic? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, it was either Afro-American or Hispanic. I feel that your father may have, in the workplace, because I feel he was a queer-oriented man, that he took care of the family, that he supported the family, that he had a job, and that he was in the same industry for a long time. And it feels like there was like maybe an African-American man that worked with your father that he was very close to. That he worked with your father and they were close, because I feel that the African American man, he's not, because your father knew him when he was alive. Your father has connect with the African American man on the other side. He's connected with family, but he's also connected with the African American man that's around him. And your father is saying that talking about love, that you have a lot of love in your heart, that you have a lot of love in your heart, that you love the family, and talking about a loving relationship. That you being in a loving relationship. Is there a relationship around you now, Jan?
Excuse me.
What, dear? What did you say?
I wanted to give you a little fact about my dad. He was actually part Hispanic.
You wonder what about your dad? What about your dad?
He's gay.
That he at one time he was with his mother before he became involved in a loving relationship with a man, that he was with your mother, that he did have Hello? Hello? Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just disregard the person that I just gave that's not their real name, Dick Jane. I just have somebody that's harassing me that had them come to get a meeting reading, just to kind of try to make me look bad. So disregard them. I won't mention the person's name, but Dick Jane knows who they are, and Dick Jane was not interested in getting a medium reading, and what she said about her dad was inaccurate. Okay, so anyway, let me see who else we have. Looks like we have everybody. We have 15 minutes left. So since we have 15 minutes left, if any of you have another family member that you would like to connect to, tell me who that family member is, and I will connect with them. Do any of you have a family member you want to connect with?
Yes. Yes.
Who's talking to me? iPhone?
Irina, yes.
Irina? Is your name's Irina? Okay, hi. And Irina, which family member did you want me to connect with?
My father.
All right. I feel that your father, it feels like to me, I see he had a really good complexion, very handsome. He was a good-looking man. I feel he was a very attractive, a good-looking man. It feels like he has more light to medium coloring. Did he have kind of like a lightish brown or kind of a medium brown with kind of brownish or hazel eyes?
No, actually had like a light blue.
Light blue, kind of blondish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel that he was kind of a tall man.
Yes, very tall.
Yeah, very tall.
Mm-hmm.
It feels that that he loved animals. I feel he had dogs around him because I see like a dog around him on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that he had a dog. That he had a dog around him. That he loved dogs, and he liked to be outdoors, and he liked to be outside. And he loved to travel. He liked to be in the car. He liked to be outdoors. He liked to travel. It feels like he liked to be mostly be outdoors, and it does feel like there was 2 other siblings. Do you have 2 other siblings?
No, I'm only one child.
Oh, all right. Maybe the 2 siblings. Was there some two
From his family, yeah.
No, from his family. Okay, because I felt 2 other siblings. It looks like they passed away too.
Oh,
Because
really? Okay.
Yeah, because I see he's with his family on the other side. I see him with his siblings. One sibling may still be alive, but there's I feel that there's maybe a brother and sister, and maybe the brother has passed away too, which would be your uncle, that he's on the other side too. And the other sibling, a female, she's still alive, and he'd like you to maybe locate her and for you to connect with his sibling that's alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he would like for you to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I feel that that your uncle and your father are on the other side. They love you very much. They say that you have. They're also saying that they're. Earlier we connected with the a family member that's helping your daughter and your father and your aunt, not your aunt, the uncle, the father and the uncle who are on the other side. They are also around your daughter. So a lot of your loved ones in spirit are really trying to help your daughter. They're really trying to help your daughter heal. They're really trying to help her get out of a difficult situation. So you have a lot of loved ones around you, and you have a lot of loved ones around your daughter that are helping her.
Mm-hmm.
That are helping her.
I hope so.
Yeah. That's all I'm picking up, about, and your father, I feel, saying something about, again, about that you need to take care of yourself. Are you tired a lot? Do you get tired a lot?
Well, I've been stressed. Having a lot of anxiety. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they said that because they seem to be concerned about your emotional and mental state of being, and they're saying that you need to start to perhaps meditate. Meditation.
I'm trying.
Yeah, meditation is very good for getting rid of stress and anxiety. That you should meditate every day, and that it would be, and maybe also, and don't drink coffee because caffeine will hype you up and make you more stressed. They say stay away from coffee. They said that maybe that you should have green tea.
I just had a coffee before this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And Melinda or Devena, did either one of you want me to have anybody else you want me to connect with?
I have a couple of friends that are passed over. I don't know if they can come through or.
Was there a female friend that you were close to? She feels like to me she has lighter hair and lighter eyes. It feels like it's somebody that may be a female friend that you may have known when you were younger, and that you used to be around a lot.
If it was someone when I was younger, I didn't keep in touch with them as an adult, so I wouldn't know.
Were you involved with a friends with a female that was lighter, maybe around your teens?
I had a male friend that passed away while I was best friends with him.
And did he kind of have lighter hair and lighter eyes?
No.
Okay, let me see who this is. I could be when you were older, but because I seem to have a hard time with determining if a person's younger or older. But it's somebody that you knew with kind of a blondish hair or kind of a light brown hair. It could be when you're older, and maybe someone that you have worked with you.
I did work with a friend that passed away, but she has dark hair. Well, sometimes she would lighten it, but naturally it's dark. Yeah.
Does sometimes she put blonde highlights in it?
Yeah, she would put like red highlights or blonde.
Red or blonde. Okay, that's probably why I'm saying it lighter. Because she's showing herself to me, and I'm not seeing dark. I'm seeing the lighter, so it might be the highlights.
Okay.
So I feel that she is around you. Yeah.
Does she have any messages or anything?
She's saying that she will be helping you put together your workshops and webinars, that she's going to be involved, that she's with you and she's coming through because she's going to be involved in helping you.
Okay. Yeah, so she's doing okay, because I didn't get to say goodbye to her, and I didn't know she passed away until a couple months later, so I was really devastated, when I found out. Yeah. And she's saying she's with you on the other side, that she's with you, and she's saying she's going to have a lot of you're very spiritual and you have a lot of knowledge and wisdom to share with people, and she wants to help cultivate
your spirituality more, to help you to cultivate it, to help you to be more connected to your spirituality. And she's going to kind of channel in information to help you put together the courses.
Okay.
So it was a pleasure to
Thank you.
connect with everybody. And, the last reading was definitely inaccurate because she didn't use her real name. So I just want you to know that,
Yeah, I
but
kind of
anyway,
questioned that name when I saw her name. Yeah.
so it's a woman that's jealous of me. She's a wannabe medium.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, so just disregard what I said, because of course I wouldn't be able to give an accurate reading if the person's not using the real name. Then it would be hard for me to give an accurate reading. So I just wanted to know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have,
No worries.
we have one more person, and I only have 3 minutes left. Let me see if I could put this person on.
It's fine, Shelley, to take a little more time. If you like.
Oh, all right. Are you sure?
Yeah, no problem.
All right. I have to find her now. I think she's gone. Oh, there she is. Oh, okay. Hi, welcome to the Spirit Channeling Circle. I guess she's shy.
Topped off.
She might be coming for your event, Dean. Yeah, that might be what. So she'll probably come back on. I wanted to thank everybody who participated in the Spirit Channeling Circle. And I do the Spirit Channeling Circles on the third Thursday of, I do the Spirit Channeling Circle on the third Tuesday of every month from 3 p.m. To 4 p.m. Pacific time. And if you would like to connect with me, if you need a psychic reading, go to psychic.shelleyharper.com. And, thank you everybody for joining the Spirit Channeling Circle. I better let Dean in.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. Poof, they all disappeared.
We're dealing with a hack at the moment.
Are you getting the hackers today?
Yeah, that's weird. Like, we didn't remember when we used to have that all the time.
Yeah, you haven't had that in a while. It's kind of weird. Well, today's an interesting day anyway, So.
God, why do you say that?
Well, guilty. There's some justice today, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that just happened.
That's a good turn in events for the positive for once.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who to let in, because
Well, if you got some funky name.
well, there's this Latino hacker group, and when you see like several names come in and they're all in Spanish, or most of them in Spanish, and they're all males. Can you see all the names?
I can't see anything. Yeah.
You can't see, but there's 9 people in the waiting room.
Really? I don't see a waiting room.
That's because you're not the host.
Yeah.
I see.
Well, you got 9 people.
Gótica, Peter Smith, Luis Fernando Pacheco Flores, Alejandro Fernando, Juan Guzman.
Not your usual.
It's usually women. It's almost always all women. And so this is the Latino hacker group trying to come in, and I'm just not letting anybody in right now. So they will. It's like I could just send them all a message. I'm just going to say not letting hackers in today. they'll go away.
Not letting hackers in today. Andy. Let's see how Andy is.
Not letting hackers in today. So, you know, see if they get the message from that. Not sure. Now, I'm not sure about Andy here. So Melanie, are you interested in some astrology today?
Yes.
Anything on your mind you'd like to focus on? Somebody's calling.
Well, I guess you could go by current events.
Yeah, we could look at the chart of today. I've got that up.
Also, could you work on the chakra points too?
Yeah, that's on the plan as well.
Okay.
So then,
the only name I know of is Christine, and I don't see that name. That usually comes on.
yeah, so far I've still got a few Latino names in there. Not that I'm prejudiced. My ancestors are Spanish also. So, okay.
Para cambiar el idioma en el que hablo, toca el menú de 3 puntos situado arriba a la derecha. Toca ajuste.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah.
At least you're not getting any naked photos or, you know.
Well,
lewd language.
I mean, it can be entertaining at times, but
exactly. God,
this isn't the time. Don't want to offend anybody with nakedness.
You're funny.
Anyway, okay. So that I'm just been a little distracted by that.
Hey, did Shelly recently go to something of yours? Because she mentioned some, I don't know, she went to something of yours recently live?
No, she's talking about.
Or something coming up. Is that?
Yeah, as it gets hot out here.
She always forgets that she sees me on these webinars.
Say that again.
She forgets she sees me on these webinars. She says, haven't I seen you before? I go, yeah, I was here last month. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I'm gonna have to send the not letting hackers message again. I mean, there must have been the word went out or something.
They must be all looking on YouTube for somewhere to go play.
I don't know why they would have. Yeah, it could be because we're on YouTube. And usually these guys all came from
Facebook, yeah.
Yep. But it's that same crowd. And I mean, they're just wasting their time. Okay. All right, so let's look at the chart of today. And
the chart. Oh yeah.
Astrology chart. I'll just the waiting room shrunk down to 2. I put that message in there. Not letting in hackers today. Come back again. Some other time, another channel. Interesting. So, can you see the chart?
Yes.
So this is a what's called a T-square. I've talked about T-squares before, but T-squares are like pyramids. They create a solid, lasting thing. And so you look at what's opposite what? The moon opposite Saturn, and they're both square Venus and Uranus, which are conjuncting over here, along with a bunch of other things coming up. So if you want to know, if you want to talk about current events, like as you just said, the main thing that just happened a few hours ago was the guilty verdict for Derek Chauvin.
Yep.
In Minneapolis. And so now there's a lot of celebration on the streets going on. I understand you may know more about what's going on than I do, because
yeah, it's all peaceful so far.
yeah, so I'll just, let's talk about the thing that's legal.
Justice, right? We talked about justice, right? I know you mentioned that. Yeah.
Justice, because we've been talking about that planet Eris here, which means consequences.
Eris?
Yeah. Eris is goddess, kind of a warrior goddess. I think of her kind of like Xena the warrior princess.
Yeah, I used to watch that show.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Or another one would be Mother Kali, kind of a fierce warrior goddess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reason I think of her as karma or consequences or revenge or retaliation or whatever word you like.
Oh, yeah.
Retribution is that what she's most famous for was she wasn't invited to the wedding of Perseus, I think it was, one of the gods, and was marrying a sea nymph, I believe, and she didn't get invited. So, as a result, she started the Persian War.
The Persian War? Is that what you just said?
Trojan, I'm sorry.
Oh, Trojan. Okay.
Yeah. And that's funny. Now there's a name, Tiasher Love. I wonder if that's a fake name. I'm just afraid to let anybody in that I don't know.
Well, you can just swap them out, right? Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, let's see who Tiasher Love.
If you have to.
Well, no, I don't have to, but we'll just see. I want to see if my theory is correct. So, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a second. And so anyway, so that means like there were consequences for not being invited to the wedding, which was a 10-year war, the Trojan War, which killed hundreds of thousands of people and stuff like that. Big consequences for not being invited to a wedding. So anyway, so what's going on in the astrology chart? Hey, how do you pronounce your name? Tiashe? And can you put on your video by any chance? Anyway, so we're talking about today's astrology. Oh, now we have angel. I'm more suspicious now. So we'll see. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna not. Hey, Melanie, how about if I make you a co-host and then you can take care of Hackard, okay?
Sure.
Because
I'll take it over. I'll get out my sword.
It's hard for me to talk and monitor the room. I don't know if you know how to do it, but
I guess it'll show me, right? If someone pops in.
if somebody tries to come in, you can.
Oh,
if
the
you see
waiting
them-
room.
Yeah, if you see somebody in the waiting room, love teacher, you know what I mean? Interesting. So this seems suspicious. So anyway, so you can either click admit or not, and then you can click on the 3 dots and remove if you need to, or put back in the waiting room. It's a good skill to learn. Just ask me questions if you want to.
Okay.
And since it's really just us, nobody's gonna.
We'll see. Okay.
Nobody's gonna be offended by any.
Give it a try.
It's mostly just gonna be cuss words instead of naked people with this crowd. Anyway, have fun with it. So anyway, so the sun has been conjunct Eris, and now the asteroid Ceres. Can you see the love teachers are trying to get in? What? Why
There's
won't
like
you
2
allow
love
teachers in?
I don't think so.
Good grief. A lot of them too. Yeah, shit. Anyway.
Go ahead. We'll see.
So there's all this energy around what the consequences are. And then there was another controversy that happened yesterday or the day before was the Congresswoman. My goodness, I see what's happening.
Okay.
And that would be a removal for Tiashe. Saw Ray. And how did we get Manuel in here? Did you
I let him in.
Okay, it might be him.
Okay.
I wouldn't let these guys in because that's what they start doing, messing with the. I'm gonna take him out. Hey, Manuel. Rivera. If you'd want to show yourself, you can. Otherwise, we're going to just remove you. Okay? It's going to remove. It's too distracting.
Don't worry about it. Like, I was ready to remove him if he did something. Look at this guy, Dave. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good last name. Yeah, that's really it. I'll just remove. Unless there's some good way of humiliating people.
Can you remove them in the waiting room too?
Yeah, just remove them from the waiting room.
Oh, I see. Okay.
For sure. Isn't that fun? Yeah. How come we've been spared so long? We get back on the list. I don't know. I'm just
what's that about?
I'm going to remove Mr. Penis. Sounds like Mr. Potato Head. Anyway, so we're seeing the consequences now. As I said, the Congresswoman, I forget her name.
Maxine Waters?
Yeah. Okay. So she said something that may have consequences yesterday or the day before when she was asking people for a strong, I believe she used the word confrontation or something like that. I think she was talking about in the case of an innocent verdict.
Yeah, I think about him being guilty.
And then the judge said, well, there could be consequences to even saying that, meaning that could result in on appeal, a mistrial. I don't know why, but.
A lot of people can express their opinion. So what, you know?
She's a congresswoman, I guess.
Is that shocking that she says guilty? No.
I don't know. I'm not sure why the judge would say that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's consequences. So we're still dealing with this Eris consequences energy. Now the consequences, if there was innocent today, would have been a lot different. That crowd would have been in a different mood.
Oh yeah.
So who knows what those consequences would have been.
I would say riots, burning down buildings.
Yeah, right. So it's kind of interesting, all these consequences. So anyway, the other thing is this T-square. Moon opposite Saturn. Saturn is the law or the structure or the boundaries or the rules.
So where's Saturn at?
It's right here, and it's opposite the moon right now.
Okay.
And so I don't know them. So,
unless I recognize them, I won't let them in.
Yeah, let's just say friends only today. So the Saturn is the control or the structure or the boundaries or the law or the police department, etc. You know, and so one of the other consequences might be another police officer in the future might think twice about doing something like what Derek Chauvin did, let's say. You know what I mean? Because he's going to end up with a prison sentence, probably.
Yep.
And then if this consequence of Maxine Waters is her name, I believe, doesn't come to pass. You know what I mean?
I don't think anything's going to happen.
Yeah, that seems unlikely.
That's done.
I don't see how that affected anything.
It didn't.
So anyway, so the Saturn thing is, look at what it's doing. It's opposing the moon, which is creating a little bit of fear, like of a consequence, like, oh, well, if I do what Derek Chauvin did, then I could go to prison too. So I might have to be a little more, stay within the boundaries of the restraint technique that he used.
Maybe that's what cops need to see this, to know that could be you. You don't comply.
Yeah, so that's part of it. I'm going to share the screen again so you can see that chart. I just went out of there just so I could see what was going on in the waiting room. And also, so it's having a dampening effect on the response, and then squaring the Venus-Uranus. Venus is feelings, like happy or upset, you know what I mean? And then Uranus is freedom or liberation or excitement or destruction, or you know what I mean? So it's like, well, it's controlling the level of destruction going on out on the streets, you know what I'm saying? Instead of destruction, it's celebration. It depends. I don't know if there's a counter demonstration. I doubt it.
I didn't see anything so far.
Like, who's going to be all excited about police brutality and murdering?
The cops. I don't know. Lessons to be learned.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that T-square has a lot to do with all of that. So this aspect is going on all year of Saturn square Uranus here, which means sort of putting controls on how much freedom we have. And this is like how much freedom a police officer has also, in this case, how much force they have the freedom to use. And so it's affecting that. Everything that T-square is going to that Saturn-Uranus thing. It's really the moon being added. But what do we got now? Nothing. Trying to use like innocuous names now.
Yeah.
They went from, you know, nasty names to love
normal
teacher
names.
and now they're trying normal names.
God.
God, they're so clever. Maybe there's a real person there that we might want to talk to, but I doubt it. Anyway, okay, so the things that are the blue lines those are the trines. This Mars trine Jupiter creates passionate belief, like a crusader, like the crowds demonstrating this is a positive aspect of restoring some level of faith. So there's kind of the crusade has moved forward, you might say, Mars trine Jupiter. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. So do the color of the line that represents something? Like the blue and the red?
Yeah, blue is a trine, and a trine generally is something that flows easily.
Trine.
Okay. It's like very energetic, and people like trines because it opens the window, you might say.
Huh.
Movement happens easily. So that's a passionate belief system that people are fighting for, you know what I mean? And that is kind of has some momentum right there, as opposed to getting blocked. And also the trine from the moon to Chiron is like healing. Chiron is healing the moon, which is the fear or the stress. It's like maybe there's less reason to fear the police department now. You know what I mean? So, because they're a little bit more under control, perhaps. We'll see. Although it doesn't, it's like if you look at, it's kind of like a mass shooting a day lately. I think that must itself be some kind of campaign. You know.
The shootings are out of control. Yeah.
Yeah, but it may be that, you know, you never know how many of them are planned kind of political operations to get a certain law passed or something like that. And so you never know. But but anyway, those are some of the main aspects. So in the world, now what about how does this affect, like, well, let's use you as an example. I think I just brought up your chart, so let's put you there. Is that correct? October 2nd, 67, 11/14?
Yes.
Okay, so when you were born in the 60s, I remember 1967 very well. And that was like the peak kind of the anti-war movement and the peak of Vietnam and the anti-war movement, the radicals, the birth of the hippie movement was going. So that was like the summer of love right before that, 1967. And so, but it was a time of a huge amount of conflict. And it makes sense that there'd be all these planets opposite each other in 67. For example, Saturn is conjunct Eris. There were a lot of consequences then. And Saturn getting ready to go over Eris is like putting some controls on, you know, all of this consequence. Like one of the major consequences of the Vietnam War was massive genocide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in Vietnam and Cambodia and, you know, et cetera. And that war was being fought over production of heroin. Most people don't know that. But that was the heroin trade. And same thing with Afghanistan's been going on 20 years. That's all about heroin also.
Yeah.
Most wars are either cocaine or heroin or oil or gas.
Yep.
It's all about a product that is worth a lot of money and who controls it. And that's the Saturn part. And then the sun was opposite Saturn. Sun is 9 Libra, opposite Saturn at 8 Aries. So it's like, so Saturn is very strong in your chart. And it has to do with, and see, it's also opposite Uranus. So it's like control versus freedom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm still a rebel, but I was quite a rebel in my 20s. Rebel with a cause. Yes.
Yeah, and the whole world was a battle between forces of control, Saturn, and the forces of freedom.
Yep.
Well, actually, freedom, that's Uranus right here. It's opposite Chiron, so it means freedom from suffering. Like there was a lot of suffering going on in the world. A lot of genocide, a lot of horrible atrocities going on in Southeast Asia. And so that in Saturn, was opposite the sun in your chart at that time, Uranus opposite Chiron. So everybody wanted freedom from pain. And Uranus was conjunct Pluto. That peaked in the first week of 1966. So there was all this, let's take back our power. Like I didn't want to get drafted. At that time I was 15 years old. But a couple of years later, they were drafting.
You had to be 18, right?
Yeah, like at the end of high school in 1970, they had the lottery by then, and I got a number 363, so I didn't get drafted.
And you still remember the number?
Well, it was such a great number, because they drafted like the first 100 or 150.
Oh,
maybe.
Okay, yeah.
And I was up to
Lucky 363.
I was like one of the last dates to be drafted. That would not have happened at all. I was totally free.
Oh, that would have been awful to be drafted into that war.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have done it. I was too aware of what was going on. But anyway, that's Uranus conjunct Pluto in that time means spiritual liberation. And so we're getting close to when all the the Beatles started hanging around with Maharishi, and it was kind of like the whole spiritual revolution was about to, spread throughout the world. And I remember by 1970, I was in high school, and I remember the Maharishi came to my high school and brushed my, past me. So I got physically touched the Maharishi when I was 18 years old. In my high school. I was like, I got sort of the bug. And then I started on my spiritual quest as well. Started studying yoga. And,
what city did you go to high school?
Woodland Hills.
Okay, so LA area.
Yeah. Taft High School.
Can I ask you on the chart?
Sure.
So when you look at it, when the lines, you look at it going opposite, right? How is that different from if it's next to each other?
Well, the Earth is in the middle. And what it really means is all these planets are lined up in a straight line with the Earth in the middle.
Oh, the Earth's in the middle. Okay, that's a good thing to know. Okay.
Yeah, but it's really an alignment. But because the Earth's in the middle, we're on, in the middle of a conflict. You know what I mean?
Okay. Because I'm still trying to figure out how to read the chart. I'm still trying to figure. what certain things mean? Like, is it more powerful? Okay, so now that I know the Earth's in the middle, okay, that makes sense. So that's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, so that means, and really, it was a very interesting time. It was a huge conflict in the world, and it was maybe the conflict. I mean, Vietnam was really a conflict over control of the heroin trade between various parties, and I know it was also whether that communism or not, you know what I mean? And so there was a big struggle, the Cold War. So it was really a struggle between capitalism and communism was going on.
Yeah.
And who would control the world? Still going on.
Yep.
It looks like we're getting ready to have a war with Russia now again. Like, some things never change. Or China.
Yeah, we all get along.
But so your chart has, so for the healing in your chart, it would be connecting all these opposites together, And like one of the things, Chiron was opposite both Uranus and Pluto at that time in the 60s. So Chiron has been opposite Uranus from 1950 to 1990. So that was a kind of a given. Everybody had that. But during this time in the mid 60s, when things got really hot on the, the big changes were like the assassination of Kennedy. Then we had Johnson was still president while you were being born. And then we went to Nixon. I mean, some, a lot going on in politics, and the control of the Vietnamese War, control of currency, control of society, all kinds of things. But that kind of characterized by all this opposition energy, really intense, and people, it was so intense. They were, killing 2 Kennedys and Martin Luther King all during this time of all this opposition, not to mention all the genocide that was going on in the world. And but to do the healing on all this, it would be connecting, like Sun opposite Saturn would be the third eye and the lower back. I'll put the chart up behind me.
Third eye, lower back.
Here we go.
So is it more, you know how, okay, you go when they're opposite of each other, because that's pretty powerful. But how about when they're side by side, like in Libra, how you got the sun?
Well, let's take the moon and the sun.
Yeah, they're both in Libra, so.
Yeah. So that's the last day of the moon cycle.
Okay.
The moon is at 1 and the sun is at 9. So that means, it really means there's about a half a day left until the new moon.
Oh, okay.
It's the last day of the moon cycle. And that's called the phase of the wise fool, by the way.
So is that what those numbers always mean? Is like the different, like how the moon is, or?
How many degrees? 1 degree Libra for the moon.
Okay.
And
don't know who that is.
So, and then the sun at 9 Libra. So that's about a half a day till they line up exactly.
Okay.
And so what that means is the moon cycle is coming to an end. In astrology, that if this is not very well known, but William Butler Yeats wrote a book called The Vision, A Vision. It was channeled by his wife or girlfriend, I forget if they were married. And good grief.
That guy again.
Jesus. Well, Cecile is okay. I just let Cecile in. Hi, Cecile.
Yay, no hacker.
We've been under attack by hack. I don't know if you. But anyway,
so if they're next to each other, okay, but it's more powerful if they're across, right? Opposite?
No, it's like, is the new moon more powerful or is the full moon more powerful? It's not a contest between one being more powerful than the other, but it's like the new moon is the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. And then the full moon is the midpoint or the high point, the peak of the cycle. You see what I mean? You were born at the end of the cycle.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's called, according to William Butler Yeats, Phases of the Moon, which is a poem written within the
Phases
book
of the Moon.
Vision. And that phase of the moon is called the phase of the wise fool. And the idea of the wise fool is like the fool card in the tarot, where the fool is heading down the road. Behind the fool is a burning city, a city crumbling to the ground. And that represents the past or the cycle that we have just come to the end of. And then ahead of the fool is an abyss, a cliff, and he's sort of blindly heading over the cliff. And that cliff represents nothingness, because at the time of the the moon disappears. And it's called the dark of the moon, and it's emptiness or nothingness, because it's like at the end of a lifetime, we go into, we're not sure what. We step over, take a leap into the void, into the nothingness. And the nothingness may be wonderful, it may be heaven, or it may be just pure nothingness. We're not sure what. We're not usually allowed to know these things. And so it's kind of that period of, but the fool is wise. The fool just stays in the moment of now, because the past is history, the cycle is over, but the future is just nothing yet because we haven't created it yet. And so that's what the nothingness is all potential, all possibility. So anyway, so the character of the fool is very similar to the character of the Tao in Taoism or Chinese, because I have actually translated the Tao Te Ching from Chinese into English, at least the first couple of verses of it. And the character for the Tao is a guy walking down a road, just like the image of the fool in the tarot. So that's kind of the symbol of the Tao, or going with the flow, or surrendering to nature, to the flow of nature. Is kind of what that cycle means. It's opposite Saturn, so maybe all that emptiness is looking for some structure, because whatever the sun's opposite is kind of what it's looking for. It's looking for some container or for some structure or some boundary. And Chiron means around healing. So it's like someone looking for what kind of healer they'd like to be, in the middle of this cycle that is ending. I think you were just talking about healing healing arts with Shelley, am I correct?
Say that one more time.
I'm saying that Sun opposite Saturn, which is lined up with Chiron and Uranus, there's all these things lined up with each other, but it's ultimately looking for a structure for healing. And
Yeah.
and also Chiron is an animal god, half
Mhm.
horse, half god. Chiron's father was Saturn, mother was
I don't know
horse.
if it's me, but you're freezing here and there.
Oh, well, I don't know either. Might be my signal.
Cecile would
Oh.
know because she's.
You're muted. Oh. I don't know, but I
Okay,
might
can you hear me
change.
now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not having any problems.
Okay, maybe it's my internet. It's being weird. Okay. Okay, I think it's my side. That's
Your side? Okay, I won't mess with mine then.
yeah. I saw something that said internet was interrupted. So okay. I'm getting weird pauses.
So what I was going to say about Chiron is some people who have a prominent Chiron in their chart are really into animals because it's a god that is like an animal god. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you know I'm animal activist.
I just happen to know that about you, that
Yeah.
you're very much into animal rights.
Can I ask you? So my friend, her chart, she's an animal activist too, and she had Chiron, but it was like beside the sun, not across. So that's still important, right?
Well, yeah, when you have the sun conjunct Chiron, a person is really identified more as a healer or as an animal, part animal, part human, you might say. And Chiron opposite Uranus and Pluto, which it is here, it's also opposite the moon. So Chiron is very strongly emphasized in your chart. It's opposite 3 other things with the earth in the middle. So it's kind of like Chiron opposite the moon would be animals needing food. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, like, oh, there's a starving animal. Let's feed it.
Yep. I feed the strays.
Yeah. And then,
all the animals outside.
And then there's even a dog barking outside my window right now. It's like saying hi.
I get the raccoons. I get the rats.
Oh my God.
I get the squirrels. I get the possums. Lots of cats. Yeah.
And Uranus opposite Chiron might mean freedom for the animals.
I'm fighting for that. Yep.
And then Pluto means fighting for their lives so they don't get killed. You know what I mean? So.
Yep. What does Pluto represent again?
Well, it's the crown chakra spirit, which is death, transformation, and rebirth. So that's where the spirit comes in when you're born, and when you're done with your life, you leave through the crown. So it really is that whole process. It's like the soul or the spirit that lives on regardless of physical form or whatever.
Okay.
How are you doing, Cecile, today?
Great. It's been a while since I joined, and I just felt today like it would be good. A lot of things are changing for me.
We almost didn't let you in. We've had to keep out about 20 hackers. And,
oh, really?
And then because we kept seeing these names which we knew were hackers.
Oh.
They make up weird names, or they all had Hispanic names. So it was like this group of 20 Hispanic men. And I know to me, I know they're a hacker group that, all comes in at the same time. So they're really easy to spot. So we almost didn't notice you amidst like 20 names of these Mexican names,
Well, what do they do when they come in? What's their point?
They might say puta or something to you.
Cause havoc.
Or
somebody has put naked pictures on the screen before, so they like to have fun.
They terrorize people, kind of,
Well, as long as they can't follow us home, it's okay.
Yeah, keep them in the web.
It's just kind of a pain just keeping up with them and trying to find the legitimate people in between all these names, you know.
Yeah, really.
We spotted you.
Well, thank you for seeing me.
Like, oh my God, there's a name I recognize.
Huh.
So anyhow, so we were talking about the astrology of today, and we were looking at Melanie's chart. Oh, I was going to show you the transits of today for Melanie.
The transits.
Okay, you should be able to see two charts now.
Inner ring, outer ring. Huh.
So like some of the easier to spot transits, all these lines are transits, but
Wow, there's a lot of them, huh?
there always are. But I'll give you an example of an easy one to spot. Chiron at 10 degrees Aries has been going over Saturn, which is basically 9 degrees Aries, because it's 8:59, one more minute, it's going to be 9. So that just happened. And so that means that Saturn would be up in your life, Melanie, and Chiron means healing, and it might mean healing the structure or healing the boundaries or changing the rules or fixing the house, remodeling or whatever. Oh, or like the feng shui we talked about several months ago.
Still doing that.
You know what I mean?
That's a continuous project.
Yeah, it's like healing the structure. So feng shui is like structural. It's like the arrangement or the pattern. And also feng shui tends to be very Zen-like. In other words, it's like boundaries, like get rid of the toxic stuff, get rid of the garbage, get rid of the energies that don't belong there, like the ex-boyfriend or whatever. You know?
I'm working on it.
Right? Is he still in your house?
Oh gosh, yeah.
And that's a matter of boundaries. See, there's something wrong with the boundaries.
He doesn't even know what that word means, boundaries. Unfortunately.
Yeah. But
oh my gosh, yeah.
But then again, it's your boundaries too. Like,
exactly. So how do you look at this? Because you got the inner ring, which is me, outer ring, which is today.
Yeah. So I look at, these are transits today going around your chart. And so the most easy ones to spot that are good for like demonstrating something is a direct transit, but it could be something is opposite something. Like if Chiron is on your Saturn, and remember Saturn is opposite your sun, here's your sun over here at 9 Libra, and that means Chiron is going over or the opposite point of your sun. And so that means your sun is your third eye, which is your pictures in your head, your self-image. That's saying, well, that needs healing too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, and if you want to get to the real point here, I'm going to turn these into heliocentric charts. And that means from the Earth's perspective. And I don't mean to complicate your brain, too much stuff, but if...
No, it's interesting. I didn't know you could do all these other things.
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
There's so much more to it. Yeah.
There's a lot to it. I mean, I'm a mathematician, so I like, this is fun for me and for other people.
To me, it's a big puzzle. Try to figure it out.
But if you look at it, just think about this. If you're on Earth looking at the sun and it's at 9 degrees Libra, think about, well, what if we went to the sun, which is the real center of things, and looked out at the Earth, it would be at 9 degrees Aries. And there it is. And it's lined up exactly with Saturn. You see what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And that's because they're opposite points.
So you said Aries is opposite Saturn?
Well, Saturn's in Aries.
Oh, okay.
The sun's in Libra, but that puts the Earth in Aries right next to Saturn. So now the sun is the center of the chart. And so this is probably too much math and geometry for you guys. It's just a different perspective. Like we can look at life from the perspective of the physical world, and that's the Earth chart that we're used to, because we're used to thinking of the world as a solid thing and us as being our bodies, more or less. And like when our bodies are gone, we're dead and we don't exist. But that's not really reality. That's just, I call it like something like the analogy of the cave. You guys ever hear of that by Plato?
I think so.
We're getting really philosophical here, but Plato has this thing in the Republic, and this is one of the most earliest philosophical tenets of Western civilization, was Plato's analogy of the cave. And what that is like, what's reality? And what he's saying is, well, what we experience as reality is like if we were inside a cave in the darkness, and behind us there was a bonfire, and there were people dancing between us, which is our back to the fire, but they're dancing in front of the fire, which we have our back to. And we're looking on the walls of the cave and we see all these shadows dancing around. He says, well, that's kind of what life looks like to us. It's really just a bunch of shadows. It's not the real thing. He says, if you were to get up off your butt and crawl out of the cave into the sunlight, that's more reality. But we're all sitting here in our stupid cave looking at the illusions. Okay? And that's the difference between an Earth-centered chart and a sun-centered chart. The sun-centered chart is really, the sun is really the center of consciousness. And this is really about consciousness more than it is about the physical form. Okay? And so now we're looking at, I know it's like way too much math and geometry.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Okay. When you say that that it's looking at consciousness more, could this be like looking at the shift to fifth dimension? Is looking at the sun more like bringing in that concept into what the alignments are now, based on a shift to 5D?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's really not. I mean, you know, I'm really into numbers and geometry, and the 5 number is really kind of random if you ask me. So to me, this space is 0, the sun is 1, Mercury 2, Venus 3, Earth 4, and Mars 5. So I'm really very precise about my numbers. And it's really not 5, but I mean, I think there's a lot of dimensions here, and we're not just graduating from 3 to 5. And so
what is this telling me, Dean?
Well, what this says is you're in a major healing time right now, because
very true.
Chiron has gone over your Saturn really recently, because it's 9 Aries 05, Saturn's 9 Aries 01, and it's getting to the Earth 9 Aries 21. So you're in a serious healing time of your structure, which is Saturn. It can be your skin or your bones or whatever the structural parts that hold your body together, you might say.
Yep.
And does it involve your skeletal system or your skin or something like that?
Yeah, I'm in physical therapy right now for my spine. So I've been dealing with that lately.
That's exactly.
Yep.
Now, so I'm going to show you again this diagram, and I'm going to spotlight it. You see what Saturn says here? It says structure.
Mm-hmm.
Notice the point that it is really the spine.
Yep.
And Chiron is healing. So this means time to heal your spine.
Yep. I'm working on it.
You see why I like heliocentric astrology?
Cut to the chase. Yep.
It's more accurate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more precise. And because it's also going over the Earth is the other side of Saturn. You notice it's really the solar plexus from the stomach to the spine over here. It's really, I would do energy healing on you, putting, hand on your stomach, hand on your spine, right behind the stomach. And I would run energy through your solar plexus, and you can do it on yourself. And so when we're dealing with the Earth part, it's also not just time to heal your spine, it's time to heal your whole body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here comes Michelle. You're not a hacker, are you, Michelle? Because it's time for Michelle's talk. It's already 5 o'clock. So is there, besides your spine, Melanie, are you dealing with?
Well, I'm having my nerves, a lot of nerve issues, which are related to my spine. So I'm dealing with a lot of that. I just recently had my crown tooth pulled out. So that was a lot of problems, but it's better now. So
teeth are also Saturn, because teeth are like bones.
Ah, yeah. So yeah, a lot of working on all the issues for the last year, actually. So
yeah, so it's in your chart. I mean, we've talked about it before. And also Pluto is right over your Mars. These are the easiest ones to see, just a direct transit. So that's why I use them as examples. Mars would be your ovaries, it would be your hormones, it would be passion, or it might be a man like your roommate that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And Pluto is, again, death, transformation, and rebirth. So maybe that means it's time to transform the male archetype in your reality from the loser that's in your house that shouldn't be there, or whatever name you give to that.
That fits.
You know what I mean? It's so one thing I do a lot with Kachina Woman, where we go up.
Yes, the Kachina Woman. I'm very fond of her.
And I asked, she's a Mother Earth goddess,
Yes.
And she's an archetype, a feminine archetype.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Well, you can't really see her very well in that picture. You can see her vortex pretty well, can't you? Well, there's a good
yeah.
All these pictures, you can see the vortex coming out of it.
Oh, that's a different one. Yeah, there's that one.
Anyway, so I was up there the other day. I was up there both Saturday and Sunday. But even before that, I was up there a week or two ago, and I asked Kachina Woman, some of you have heard the story of my relationship with my mother, and she, at birth, when I was born, she told the nurse to take me away, put me in another room, and she didn't feel like holding me, and that was kind of what my whole childhood was like. And I realized most of the women in my life have been like that, kind of cold, throw me under the bus, critical parent types, like I constantly am told what's wrong with me and being blamed for things, and you know what I mean? That that whole feminine archetype really was pretty awful. So what I asked Kachina Woman to do was to replace that I said, would you please get rid of the old critical parent, bitchy, complaining feminine archetype that I had in there? I'm not saying that that's every female. I'm saying that's a type of
Hopefully it's
female.
not the one that's currently in your house.
Yeah, right. So anyway.
Girl, no comment.
Yeah, so I just said, would you please remove that archetype? Because I'm not interested in hearing any more bitching and complaining anymore. So anyway, so I did have that archetype removed. So I'm just suggesting it for you that it's time for you to slay whatever the male archetype in your core self-image is.
Okay, yeah.
You know, does that make sense? Because
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Because it might be that yours is like a parasite, a vampire, you know what I mean, a reptilian, whatever. And
He is like a vampire, energy vampire. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yep.
I mean, if somebody's living in your house that shouldn't be there, like a previous relationship, there's something like they're just like a parasite sort of still stuck to you. Kind of.
Opportunist. Yep.
Yeah, so what you got to look at is like, where did that archetype come from? Did you have, was that in your family? Was it in your past lives? Where was it somebody in your childhood? You know what I mean? It's like, you might want to remove the archetype. And all you got to do is you could just ask Kachina Woman right here, or just say, thank you, Kachina Woman, for removing the vampire male archetype.
Thank you, Kachina Woman, for removing the vampire.
Very good. And that would be on your ovaries. And let's see what other, if you could do.
She does a really good job when I see her in person. It lasts for like a month when I
well, you can
go over there and do releasing.
Since you've already met her, you can just ask her and thank her. And that sounds good. Yeah. So, but anyway, it's on your ovaries. So you might put a hand on your ovaries.
Okay. The ovaries.
Yeah. And then maybe to the throat chakra, because it might involve some communication.
Yes, for sure. I never get listened to. It's frustrating. Yeah.
Oh, you might want to change that archetype, the never get listened to archetype. That's this Mercury square Saturn and the Earth. So put one hand on the throat chakra.
Yeah.
And one hand on the front and back of the solar plexus. That takes about 3 hands, by the way. So
if I could put my foot there, but I don't think it's going to work.
Put your foot up on your throat chakra. Put your foot in your mouth, maybe.
I could put the leg up by the ovaries.
Yeah, since you're around dogs, they know how to put their legs behind their heads. You know. Are you there, Michelle? Because
I am. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm given the space for people to get the healing support that's needed for what's going on. I don't know what's going on. What's going on?
So, Dean?
Well, yes.
I'm in the position. So what, could you just do that with me real quick and then?
Okay, so do you have, somehow you have 3 hands, one on the front, back?
I put my leg up there by my ovaries as far as I could reach it.
So. Oh, there you go. Good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you've got apparently good
I'm kind of
flexibility there. Anyway, so just say thank you, Kachina Woman, for removing the old archetype of people not listening to me.
Thank you, Kachina Woman, for removing the old archetype of people not listening to me or taking me seriously.
And replacing it with something like, the words I say are heard, understood, and acted upon.
And replacing it with words that are heard, understood,
your words,
listened to, acted upon.
Yeah, say your words, or my words, or whatever.
My words.
Yeah.
Listened to, acted upon, heard, took seriously.
There you go. So that might work.
I have the power, not him.
And you could say, and I am
It's my house, not his.
I have the power to set appropriate boundaries in my relationship.
Yes, I have the power to set appropriate boundaries
In my relationships, and
in
they
this,
are respected.
yeah, relationship with this ex-roommate, ex.
There you go. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Kachina woman.
So the astrology, I'll share that of today. This is Melanie right here, but I also have today. That's today. Can you see today geocentric chart?
Yes.
Yes.
And so we've talked about how Saturn is squaring Uranus all year, which is the rules around freedom. And then today the moon is opposite the Saturn and square the Uranus, and Uranus is joined by Venus. So it really today is about issues around, how appropriate use of, or appropriate amounts of freedom. And the thing we were using as an example was that there was a verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial today. And are you guys aware of what happened?
Yes, justice.
So Derek Chauvin was found guilty for killing George Floyd, I believe. And so, anyway, so that has to do with, well, that's like, for example, the freedom, how much freedom does a police officer have to, use certain forms of restraint in certain conditions? And this may create a response around the issue of how much freedoms other people might feel. So anyway, we were talking about that. That's kind of what's up today. And then there's all these consequence issues still, because all these planets have still been going over Eris, the goddess of consequences and karma and retribution, etc. And so we see that in a lot of areas.
Dean, see the one next to Aries? Is that Lilith? Is that what that
this one right here?
Yeah.
That is Ceres.
Oh, Ceres. Okay.
That's the fertility goddess, the Mother Earth goddess. She's kind of like the Kachina woman.
Ah, Mother Earth goddess. Okay.
Mother Earth goddess. Yeah. So she's the next thing to go over about 2 days from now. Ceres will go over Eris. So these are Mother Earth consequences. So I'd be looking in the next couple of days, like, what are the Mother Earth consequences like?
Well, couldn't that mean like some kind of natural disaster?
It
Mother
could
Nature.
be. It could be nature responding to
humanity, and not necessarily Mother Earth. Could it be humanity?
Humanity
And not necessarily
particularly females.
No, I mean all humanity.
Yeah, Ceres though is the Mother Earth goddess, so she tends to represent the feminine side or the earthy side. But you could look at things. I would expect to hear some things around climate change or the consequences of global warming, or things around the consequences of pollution or the consequences of various things going on with Mother Earth. Can anybody think of anything like that that's sort of coming up?
Well, it might be raining soon, they said. Kind of interesting because it's warm and now we're going to get rain, but
Where are you, Melanie? Where's it going to rain?
I'm in Southern California.
Interesting.
Yeah. I heard that on the news. I'm like, because right now I think it's like in the 80s right now.
Yeah. So what's the interaction with Mother Earth? So the consequences is interacting with Mother Earth energy.
So what's going on right now in regard to that is in the government, let's say, I look at what's the big thing going on with that. So the big thing going on with that is there's Congress is right now focusing on an infrastructure bill. An infrastructure literally means things on Earth that need like roads or but the infrastructure bill that was proposed by Biden, the $2 billion one or whatever it was it 2 billion or 2 trillion?
Trillion. I think it was 2 trillion.
Yeah. So then
Wow.
the response from the Republicans to that bill was, well, a lot of it is just the Green New Deal. In other words, a lot of it is like infrastructure, sustainable infrastructure issues around climate, global warming, and so they're proposing something about half that size or less. That's more like the normal infrastructure, roads and things of that nature. But it's always about money to your district to fix your roads and whatever. You know what I mean? But it's also in relation to, well, how does this affect the oil industry? Is it giving too much to solar and wind and blah, blah, blah. And so that's where this battle is being fought, is what kind of an infrastructure bill will happen. And some people are talking about coming up with a bipartisan way to do it, and some people are talking about reconciliation. These are the details of government and how you can arrive at passing a bill. Does that make any sense, what I'm saying? And the consequences of the decisions that are being made right now in Congress will determine, where a trillion to $2 trillion will go in terms of funding roads and communication structures and blah, 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 and all kinds of infrastructure that could affect Mother Earth quite a bit, actually. And so that's what I think the conversation's going on. And there is a bipartisan bill trying to happen, and then there's a purely partisan bill that could happen. But, maybe
A couple of days ago, I heard that David Attenborough was reporting that that nature across the planet has just been coming back in an unbelievably strong fashion this year, and relating it to the fact that we had this pandemic and everybody was, stopped doing all the, things that we do to the planet. So I thought, does that reflect in there that planet Earth is actually in pretty good shape right at the moment if it just, kept in this projectile?
Oh yeah, because if you cut human activity in half or something, you cut the damage in half so there can be some more recovery going on.
Well, the pollutants, no cars. It's like, everything that we do to damage the earth has just been put on hold. So it's interesting that nature just bounces back so quickly. Do you think that shows in there?
Yeah, that would be the consequences of what's been going on Mother Earth. We're ending a cycle, of the last year. It would have, well, actually, Ceres going over Eris is a 4-year cycle. So, so we start a new cycle. And so interesting, the end of the cycle, the last quarter of the cycle is the last year that you're referring to. And it was like a slowing down of the consequences, you might say. And then the choices that get made, like, there's a big shift to like electric vehicles compared to gas. And so all these decisions that are being made affect the oil industry. And, so that's kind of probably where it is. I mean, who knows what's going on really, but there's a lot of conversations going on and decisions being made and bribes being given and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So we'll see the consequences.
Well, I know Biden is trying to compromise to get gun laws passed. So
yeah,
anything's possible. Huh?
There seems to be a big push on that, although that probably isn't the Ceres Eris issue. That's more the Saturn Uranus issue right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's another freedom. Second Amendment freedoms compared to First Amendment freedoms.
Oh, yeah.
All those issues are up this year.
Well, how does all of that translate on a personal level? Is that what you were talking about when I came on, like healing the mother relationship? Is that up and open and available?
Well, we've been working on that because Ceres went over Chiron here. Do you see my cursor right here?
Yeah.
And that now Ceres moves faster, so it's moved about 13 degrees ahead. So it's just starting that whole cycle. But it's still, we just, recently began the cycle of healing Mother Earth. Or the ancestral healing that we were talking about. So, yeah, that's still moving ahead, and now Ceres is lining up with Eris. All of these things, by the way, these three things, Chiron, Ceres, and Eris, they're all about the same size. These are all dwarf planets. All three of them are dwarf planets. All the dwarf planets are lining up.
So what does that mean? So where is it moving to? So it's coming off. So it's been in the healing the mother wound. And it's coming off that and into, what is the thing it's going into?
It's beginning a new cycle of the consequences for Mother Earth.
Yeah.
And I think there is a prophecy that around now there is going to be a serious Earth event, you might say.
Yeah.
You've heard that, right?
No, I haven't heard that. I'm just hearing it now, so I'm listening. I'm paying attention.
Well, like around here, I was listening to, I have a friend who's actually going to be in Sedona this week, who's a Zuni elder and a Kachina dancer. And a lot of the Hopi and Zunis and, the various tribes around here, Navajo, Apache, or whatever, they all talk about the star people, but they also talk about entering the third world or the fourth world, or like they're expecting a big earth change.
Interesting.
And
what I've heard is
this Ceres Eris thing could refer to, because they're saying, could be any day some major earth event, and that can mean all kinds of things, but
someone joined a different way
from YouTube. Is your name Chris?
Yeah, I just joined from YouTube. I'm trying to study new stuff.
You're trying to make what? I couldn't hear.
Trying to study this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Welcome, Chris. Yeah. Is that your name, Chris?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Chris.
Thank you.
So, anyway, we've been doing astrology the last hour, and And then we're shifting to Michelle's happiness hour now. But if you have any things you'd like to talk about or contribute or questions or whatever, feel free to join in.
You know what? I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave. Thank you. It was a.
Oh, I wanted to hear what you had to say before you jumped off. You had something you wanted to contribute to that.
You know what? I've been wanting to say this, and then it's and something's been holding me back. But I've been hearing a lot in these groups that I'm in. At first, I thought it just didn't make sense, and it was just the person. But I'm hearing it repeatedly in different places that I know this sounds really weird, but that first contact is going to happen soon. And that I know that you're thinking I'm crazy, but
I don't.
We already know you're crazy.
I know I am crazy. Okay, I'll admit that. But I didn't think that it was going to happen. I didn't think anything like that would happen in any kind of near time frame. But timelines are kind of accelerating, and for different reasons. And so this one common thread I'm hearing across multiple groups that I'm on is it's the same thing that I'm hearing in different places, that they are looking at first contact and that it is going to change everything. And, I started studying, I don't know if you've heard of The Law of One by Ra. Have you? I see you shaking your head, Dean. The Law of One.
I just had lunch today with Win Free, who wrote the book on David Wilcock called The Reincarnation of Edgar Cayce. But that all the work that he works with the Elohim and the Ra group, and that's all about the Law of One. So I just had lunch with that guy. He's very
That's really funny.
Interesting.
Well, you know what? The Law of One actually makes all of this kind of make sense. Because the Law of One is the basic law of the universe, and it's the law of creation. And that according to the Law of One, there's many, it's very complicated, of course, creation and life and everything is complicated, but according to the Law of One, there's three cycles. There's 3 25,000-year cycles. And I know with the Indians, I'd heard 26,000 years, but
yeah,
this is said 3 25,000-year cycles. And that planet Earth has been seeded, and all the stuff about, all of the different species that have been here and done things and all that stuff. But that we are right at the very end, this last alignment with the center of the galaxy, that we have come to the end of the third 25,000-year cycle. And that at the end of it, according to the laws of the universe, that it isn't an option, but that the planet has to ascend to this fifth dimension. And that there's a lot of negative forces on the earth, a lot of negative entities or whatever that are trying to, they have caused a lot of trouble, for a lot of years. They're trying to clear them out, and that according to the Law of One, this is just something that's going to happen. How quickly or how slowly, is a question, but that it is the future, and that it doesn't seem, whatever real is, if you want to talk reality, it doesn't seem real, right? But then, I'm delving into the Law of One. It's pretty heavy stuff, and along with a lot of other things, pretty heavy stuff. And when you bring it together, it's like, at some point in your spiritual journey, when you touch on things that are right. And so this is truth to me. And I guess inside, I feel like I haven't said this to anyone, that, I'm hearing first contact, and I'm not going to be afraid for myself. I'm afraid for everyone else that doesn't resonate with the idea of having a first contact and what it might look like and be and whatever. And that's why I was kind of interested in the astrology to see what's kind of a big event well, that could be a pretty gigantic one.
Yeah.
If they actually do it. And I know that there's been tons of transmissions. You know, I know I've had breakthroughs myself. I had a major breakthrough on just my life recently, and I know it's from all the energies. And so anyway, we're in an amazing time, and you know, we chose to be alive for it, and it's a blessing to be here and to do something positive and to serve. And the whole point in the law of one is that as a soul, we have a purpose, and we're just kind of playing the game down here in this third dimension. And it's a privilege to be here to work out a whole lot of things. And that as we work out these things, you know, all the pain and all the suffering and all that other stuff that happens in 3D, it's like it's at the higher levels of our soul, it's all been approved that, and we agreed to it, and we're here and we're working. And the high and the purpose, or the kind of like the evolution of the soul, is that as we move to the next dimension, as we complete this, it's learning about the love in the heart, and that loving oneself, and that as you love oneself, that then there's the point of service, and then it's service to, either it's service to self, which is negative, or it's service to others. And that's where fifth dimension, all these beings that are helping us, that's where they are. So anyway, sorry. That was what I wasn't going to say and was going to say. And so,
well, I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you managed to, you know, communicate that, because I think it's really important. You know, it's a great communication, and really good to put in the context of what Dean's showing us with the alignment of the planets, like some sort of big event happening. I'm just not, you know, for me, what I hear, the way that I feel about it is great, you know, that this is ascension into the fifth dimension. This is more light coming in. This is more, you know, the negative third dimensional selfish motivations not working or not being supported in working. That's how I receive what you're talking about. But this first contact, I suppose, could be, you know, a bumpy ride for some people. Or is that, I don't know the law of one. I'm not clear about that.
If you touch on it, you'll be it may just break down everything you know.
Okay.
I mean, you know how when you're in your spiritual journey, that there's points when you begin to touch on something, and it forces you to rebuild your beliefs. You know, you have to stop and take a look and rebuild them. It's restructuring. This is exactly what this is. It's like everything you know, you know, it isn't like there's nothing that's right, but it's like it puts everything into a perspective. It's kind of like I imagined it when I first got it. It's like before I even touched it, before I found it, I had already imagined that what I know in my life, my spiritual truths, that I had to like restructure myself. I think like a database, you know, like Dean's the mathematician, you know, and I'm the database. And so, you know, it's like I have, you know, all of these things that I know, and that in order for me to learn this next thing, I had to like re-index myself. That's what the way I thought of it. It's like restructuring what I know so that I can now put it into, and I can take it in, and I have a place to put it. And I think the problem with something like a first contact is that it is going to break every belief that most people have. It will, you know, the idea of ETs will be a shock, and the teachings will require that, will require relearning what you know.
Yeah.
In a whole different structure of belief in what life is, what it's about. And, you know, it's taken me a lot personally on my journey to be able to get to a point where I can even think that. So I can't even imagine, you know, the whole population. I know the energy is being sent to help everyone, but it is going to be a major, major, major shift if it happens, if it does happen in the escalated really near-term time frame they're talking about right now.
So is there any information in that on the way in which it's presented? Because I would imagine if it's presented from a point of view of we're being invaded or we're being threatened or it's a war, you know, with other people, then it's one thing. But if it's presented as, you know, this is an opportunity for us to evolve in our spiritual experience, then it can be embraced differently. So does the Law of One talk about any of that sort of thing?
Oh, the Law of One doesn't talk about the what, you know, this whole thing with the first contact. It doesn't talk about that. What it talks about is the basis of all creation, what source is, what a universe is, you know, how things are created. It talks about the basis of creation. So everything has a beginning and it evolves, and it's very complicated, and there's a lot of rules, and you know, the universe has a lot of laws I didn't know about. Like, you know, you hear about karma and dharma and whatever. There's many laws, and I think there's like 12 universal laws. And so you don't hear these things, you know, as you're growing up, as you're going through life. Who talks about the 12 universal laws? Nobody does. And the Law of One is the first one. And, you know, not many people have ever heard of it. And so it's interesting because if that, you know, became an initial understanding, then everything else would kind of make sense. But we live in a crazy world, and it just, you know, gets more dense. And so this is definitely a shakeup. So anyway, yeah, I getting it out of, you know, myself, you know, verbalizing it is actually, maybe it's kind of freeing. And I know
For sure, yeah.
that you know, I don't think that this completely resonates with you, and for me, I've been doing a lot of work to be able to get it to resonate with me. You know what I mean? So anyway.
So does it feel like exciting for you and something that you would invite? Or does it feel like, you know, let's slow it down a bit? Or where are you with it?
For my own personal self, I would very much welcome meeting these ETs that are the benevolent, high vibrational, you know, high dimensional beings that are out there protecting us and helping us to come to this, you know, to this ascension. And I would very much love to meet them. So I hear the channelings of people, and you know, I cross-reference everything. So I'm trying to be very discerning in what I end up taking in. And so anyway, I believe the things that I'm reading. I feel things, you know, as far as activations and the energy that I'm getting. I've had experiences, and so it all seems very real to me. And it's positive. It's real and it's positive. There are negative things out there. So they're actually being, you know, they're being chased away to get into this fifth dimension. So they're, yeah, this is an amazing time to even be able to think this. And I mean, I can't talk to my family about this. I can't talk to friends about this. Who am I going to talk to?
Yeah, some people are really weird about stuff like that. That's for sure. That's why you come on here.
Yeah.
We'll happily talk about it. I'm happy to, you know, embrace that possibility, you know, because for me, the idea of going into the fifth dimension, as I said, is an ascension. It's an elevated connection to our true essence and the spirit of who we really are, and puts everything in a context of more purposefulness than, you know, just get a job, make money, and pay your taxes. You know, that's kind of not, that's a very third dimensional sort of reality. But the fifth dimensional reality, from what I know, is really connected to the broader context of your purpose for being in a body, for being here, and what you're doing. Sort of, what are you doing? What are we doing here after all? So I would welcome that kind of, you know, major awakening.
Yeah, I say it's about time. It can happen. It's about time.
You know, what's interesting is that, you know, the Lord Maitreya, the stuff with the Share International.
Yes, Maitreya.
That's the last thing. I connected with that, like, you know, 20 years ago. And so now it's interesting that that's on this. I mean, that was one of the reasons I joined.
Well, did you know about Share International before 20 years ago?
Yes, I did. I did.
Oh, okay.
I knew about Share International, and I knew about, in fact, you know, that the prayer that they do, oh my gosh.
The transmission.
Yes.
Meditation.
And I remember I've had that prayer for so many years. It's a very powerful prayer. And I didn't think you should do it alone. And so over the years, I tried to find, it should be in a trinity that you do the prayer. It's because you're actually taking in transmissions, and you are, you know, taking them down and allowing them to be used here on Earth. And I remember I was trying to find 2 people to do that with. But, you know, the prayer itself is a little scary. I mean, when I first got it, I believed it. Something told me it was right. But then something said, well, this is pretty powerful that you're actually accepting a transmission. But anyway, I did believe it. But I couldn't find 2 people.
Interesting.
So I just stopped it, and I forgot all about it. And then I started remembering it when this came about. And when I saw the Share International, I said, oh my God, then this is bringing me back to it. So that's perfect timing that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Share International is talking about Lord Maitreya and coming out as part of the hierarchy. But he is not going to come out as a spiritual person. He's going to come out as a charismatic leader and bring, you know, and bring the values of what we should have in the 5th dimension. And you know, they're starting to have meetings, and I attended one of them, the one that was last Saturday. I was on a meeting before it for 2 hours, and I just couldn't stay for another 2 hours. But you know, I can see they're starting to do that, having global discussions, you know, to try to at least begin people thinking and beginning to brainstorm the ideas about what it should be like to live in the world responsibly and with each other. And, you know, it's like the 5th dimension that I imagine that's already there. It's already created. We're just not all quite there, and we're all going. And so it's like a massive thing that all of them are helping us get there. But it's like in this 5th dimension where everyone's living from the heart, all these first 3 chakra things that we live with in 3rd dimension that are yucky are resolved, and we're living from the heart, and we're living with love for everyone and in service to everyone. And so it's like, imagine a world like that where everyone's basic needs were met, and everyone was living and thinking about what gifts they had, and working on their own personal gifts to be of service in their own way. It's like, what kind of different world is that than what we live in today, which is pretty horrible. And so the idea of it is so positive, the idea of moving to it, being in it. And you know what? Our minds are very powerful, and we create things. So the more of us that think about this, that even can imagine it, make the possibility of it happening. More of us that are on this earth that are actually supporting the idea, make more of the global consciousness, and allow these beings to help us to actually get there. And so
yeah, I hear that, and I want to help. I'm on board with that. So what I've heard also is that it's going to be like simultaneously, like a split that happens. There are those that move in the direction of the fifth dimension and those that stay in the third dimension at the same time in the same place, so living side by side, those living in the fifth dimensional reality and those living in the third dimensional reality. What do you think of that? Have you heard anything about that?
I have. I've heard that too. So it's like I've heard that everyone is moving, and I've also heard what you said, and I really don't know which it could be, but it's hard to imagine that we could just be like, in the same room together and somebody in the fifth and somebody in the third. It's like, what about the laws? What about, the basic way of being? So I don't know. Maybe it would coexist like that for a while and then move up. But I think that the beings that are helping us, there's a lot of different benevolent, beautiful beings that are trying to help us. And I think that, they're evolving their approach and how to help us. And that's why it's just very recently, I mean, like in the last 4 days, that all of a sudden they're talking about be prepared for first contact. It's coming. And there's going to be a lot of ships come down at the same time. It's not going to be a little thing. It'll be major. And that, that they're just saying, you think about it, and they want, everyone that can hold the light and the love and the, the vibration to do that, to help everyone. So to not be afraid, there's nothing for us to be afraid of. There's nothing these are benevolent beings trying to help us move to the next dimension. So, but that, there'll be a lot of fear across the world as people face it. And I mean, you have all these channels on TV about, proving that there were UFOs, so it's like the idea that there were UFOs has been hidden, has been, something that's backroom discussion. And, it certainly is nothing that's ever been accepted or has been acknowledged, to be true. Governments always shut it down. If there's anything that comes up, they always have a way to shut it down. So this is, it's just so massive. It's so massive. And I think if I hadn't been reading the Law of One, I don't know if I would be able to kind of bring all of this together for myself where I could even be saying it. But the Law of One kind of makes it mandatory that we have to do something. We can't just stay in the third dimension. And how many years that takes, it doesn't mean it has to happen in 2 months. And it doesn't mean 2 years. Maybe it's 20 years. But it's got to happen, that we have to change as a species, and we have to evolve because the earth has to evolve. So it's like it's just part of the timing and the flow of creation.
Does it talk about how that evolution happens for those who are resistant or afraid or not embracing the benevolence of that possibility?
No, the Law of One isn't talking about it like that. The Law of One is really about, it's about the rules. It's about creation, period. It's about creation, which is a different story than I've ever heard before. And so the story is different, and that's why you have to, you have to be ready. If you study the Law of One, you have to be ready to reevaluate, to see if you can integrate it in to your beliefs, and I think that's really great, because I've been, searching for the, hidden truths all my adult life. So this is the ultimate one. And
are you familiar with Greg Braden and his perspective of evolution?
You know what? I know who Greg Braden is. I have one of his books. I respect him a great deal, but I don't know in particular what he says. And I'm sure that it can't be anything that is more relevant than the Law of One. But what does he say that you want to say?
Well, he said there was an event 200,000 years ago, that we didn't evolve from apes and become Neanderthals, and the Darwinism theory is not accurate. in terms of how our evolution happened, that there was actually an event 200,000 years ago that most likely was an interaction with other beings from other planets. Most likely that's what happened to sort of spark us off in this direction of human evolution. That's kind of his ideas. Dean, do you know about the Law of One, and you know about Greg Braden? What do you think about those two sort of theories and ideas? Are they on the same page? Is it the same thing, or is it different?
Well, I don't know as much about the Law of One. I just know some people who are really into the Law of One.
Yeah.
And I couldn't say exactly what the Law of One is. But as far as what Greg Braden was saying about aliens being here 200,000 years ago and doing some genetic modification on humans, that Greg's perspective is that that is a scientifically proven fact now, that there's no way that evolution could have occurred without some kind of an intentional genetic modification at that point in our history. And it was also predicted, or it is said, and I heard this somewhere else, like Ancient Aliens or something, that but it was also programmed in there that we would have another genetic modification right now, and that we seem to be getting it. We seem to be getting these vaccines.
Exactly. So that kind of puts the vaccine in a different.
Yeah, maybe we're getting an upgrade that we can go to the stars.
Yeah, no, the vaccine is not upgrading us to go to the stars. In fact, these they don't want us to have the vaccine because they say it's actually negative for the body. But I took it, and I just feel that it's how I integrated it for myself. So I'm not worried about it. But no, a lot of the activations that are happening, for people that are connected with it, are some of them are DNA activations to actually activate the DNA that is alien within all of us. That there's gifts in it, and that so that's part of. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. There's just a whole lot of stuff going on right now. So I know that the people that I'm following are just, they're extraordinary. And the Law of One, the people I'm following that are channeling, they're channeling these beings, the Arcturians, the Ashtar Command, the Palladians, the Syrians, the Hathors, a lot of beautiful beings. And so they're giving beautiful messages. So that's not the Law of One. They're beautiful, ascended, are higher dimensional beings, and they are living in this service to all. It's like when you get to that level, you're either service to all or you're service to self, and service to self is the negative. And so that's an important distinction. And so all these beings are trying to help us. But the Law of One just gives the kind of the basic foundation. It's not saying that these aliens are going to come. The Law of One is not going to say that. The Law of One is just saying what's the basis of creation, and then giving some rules on what all of creation has to live by. These the 12 universal laws that are just kind of a common sense foundation for what life should be. But when you hear them, it suddenly you just begin to understand. You wish that we had been taught these things as part of being human, but we haven't, and part of this human experience is to have it be yucky and, go through this crap that everyone has gone through. And so, that's the human experience. And, and so I think, it's really funny. There was a point like 18 years ago when I went to this event that was David Joshua Stone, he, very amazing man. And I remember going to it, and it was Ascended Masters. There was like this meditation that took you into the sun, and I had this feeling of non-worthiness, and so I've overcome it. But it's like that was my feeling back then, and so there's a whole lot of stuff just being in this third dimension on our lives, and all the gunk that we brought in from previous lives that is there, and at some point maybe it affects you or it doesn't. It's like there's just so much about life, and then when you get into this law of one, you just realize that as these experiences may not have been pleasant or anything you think you wanted, but when you made those decisions before you came to birth, you as a soul said, yeah, give it to me, I can take it. And that's what I want to learn this time. So what I want to learn is, it's like, how when you're going down roads in life, you have a choice all the time. Life is choices every minute. And that there's times in life when we take a path that you have to go one way or the other, and you take a path and maybe it's not the right way, the one that would get you what you wanted to get to faster. But you learned something on it. And so that was okay. And so it's like, just knowing that this is a game. Life is a game.
It's so
And
deep.
that,
Time.
yeah, it's a game. But it's like you can somehow you get to this point with the law of one, where you begin to just understand it is a game. And even if it was painful, it's a game. And know that you were just here to learn it. And once you can embrace that, it's kind of like a whole series of things of just beginning to, it's embracing yourself, all your experiences. It's accepting the light and the dark. It's like, it's all that stuff. And knowing that it's because as a soul, it's part of our evolution, and that we might've been off doing some other, sixth dimensional thing somewhere else, but we chose to come here and do this yucky stuff because this is the stuff that kind of advances you as a soul. And so anyway, all right, sorry, I got it all out there.
Well, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you shared it, because it's fascinating information, and it's good to have it in the field of communication and have conversations about it so that we can be aligned, we can be alerted to the potential or the reality of that, and we can be prepared, for, to embrace an event or an experience that could be shocking or could shut you down or knock you out. Have it be the opposite. Have it be something that elevates you and motivates you to be excited about the possibilities that could pour down from an experience like that. So I think that I thank you for starting this conversation and, helping us, continue in the conversation from that point of view. I think it's really very valuable. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being the first people that I actually verbalize this with, because, I think, part of this is it's very hard to say it, because unless I'm with someone that is in one of these groups that I belong to, the general population is not going to, believe this. But I'll tell you what, if this happens, if they really do keep with this accelerated timeline, and let's say they land within the next 2 months, just remember that I said this to you.
Yes, I will. I'll be prepared.
And you know what? I think, yes, the main thing is to not be afraid. If it happens, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. And they're going to help us help the world to evolve to what we need to, because there's a lot of changes that have to happen. And, the technologies that we could get to help us move into this better way to live, there's just a lot of change.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah,
anyway.
Thanks for sharing. I'm glad you got it all out of your system, because this is a good platform for you to talk, especially since you feel you can't really talk to, many people about it. So get it all out here. That's what it's for. And I look forward to it. If it's going to happen soon, bring it on. You know, it's about time.
Yay, Melanie.
We need it.
That's
I've been
beautiful.
waiting.
I mean,
It's like, it's time.
yeah, I'm so glad to hear you say that. So, you know, something, you know, for me, it may be my part in, you know, like beginning to say something is that, you know, each of you are probably going to say something to someone else. You heard this crazy thing, but it's like, it could just begin to get a message out there so that if the first contact does happen, that people won't be afraid. That's the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hold your vibration, you know, and be just loving and light, and don't be afraid. Be open and know that this is really part of the divine plan. Yeah, that's what the law of one is about. It's about a divine plan. And so while the details, like the nitty gritty of it, are, you know, always worked out as they go, just knowing, like in the big picture, that the earth has to move up to the fifth dimension. And it could be there was a time when they were just thinking that we weren't going to make it with the earth, and that, you know, they could have wiped us out a long time ago because, you know, humans haven't behaved very well. But you know, but now they, you know, they say no, that that humans are, all humans are going with the earth to the fifth dimension. So I think that's really great.
That's good news.
Yeah, I agree.
That's very, very good news. I like it. And you know, actually, there may be more people than you realize that are sort of more ready. They're more attuned with the energies or aligned with the information. I think there have been sort of some good teachers that have put out some potentials of this kind of happening, and those who are activated and on a spiritual path and doing some sort of work on themselves and some sort of practices are, you know, ready. That there's a certain tipping point that we may have arrived at, where there's enough of us that are actually ready to hold the space for the positive possibility of this coming through. I think there may be more than you think. So I would have those conversations. I'm having them. Dean will have them. I know Dean will have them. I think Melanie's on board too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to start.
Well, you know what? I think exactly what you're saying is that, you know, it was hard for me to get this out today, but that there are more people ready than I imagine. And that's what they're saying, is that, you know, they can see us and they can see that there's enough of a volume, a contingency of those that are in the vibration, you know, that will support it. There's enough of us that can help them, you know, that will allow them to come here and make this first contact. So it's like, this is absolutely, you know, gigantic. And it's only been 4 days now that I've seen this, and I'm seeing it every single day from different places. And so it's just making me think that it could change, you know, they could push it out, but I think there is a possibility. And I think if those that are ready, I think if you just have a little knowledge, you know, a little heads up, hey, it's going to happen, that, you know, those that are ready can just be readier, you know, and that it's important to make sure you don't get into the fear, because we're holding the vibration for all of this to happen. And it's how we react to it that we can bring that stability and the peace and the grace to all the other people that are going to be afraid. So they're going to be turning to people that have a spiritual basis, and they're going to be, you know, they're going to be reaching out, and so we can have the words to them to help them to accept it so that they're not afraid.
I think the government puts a lot of fear in things that doesn't need to be, and then people freak out, you know, like for instance what we're going through, but people I know are more open to alien life than they are to like mediums or psychics, you know, believing in that. So I find more people believe that there is other life form out there. And especially when you have things like ancient aliens and these retired military people coming forward and saying, hey, we saw stuff, there's things out there. I think that's waking people up too, and making us realize, yeah, there's definitely stuff out there. If the government would just be honest, you know? So
Right.
yeah, definitely.
So I just want to say I'm here, I'm listening, I'm engaged in the conversation, but my dog is speaking. So I'm just going to give her
Or he'll never stop.
I'm
Yeah.
going to jump over there, give her some food, but I love the conversation and I'm still listening. So, I love to hear what Dean's got to say about the whole thing.
Well, the other side of this, being a Gemini, I'll bring up the other side.
And you're in Sedona, so you might see some sightings. Who knows?
Oh, I've dealt with aliens already here.
Yeah.
And there's some good ones and some not so good ones. And
just like humans. Yep.
Like any other species. But we talked about this a week or two ago. Stephen Greer has a video up. And he knows a lot about aliens, and he agrees that they're good. He sees most of the aliens as being benevolent, but that hold on a second. Boo. Go.
Cecile, where do you live? Are you in California?
Yeah, I'm in California. I live in Gold River, which is by Sacramento.
Oh, you're up north. Okay, I'm down south.
Boo, go. She likes to hide in.
Yeah, you know what? It's really funny, but it's like you can't just talk about this stuff, at least here.
Yeah, exactly. Some people are just like,
anyone.
look at you like, what are you talking about? Sometimes I don't even care. It's like, it is what it is, people. You believe it or not, you're going to eventually have to believe it. So,
But,
well, and there are, it's not all benevolent beings. There are malevolence, but they are part of this like 4-day thing. I'm hearing is that they've actually given warning to the malevolence to depart, that the earth is going to 5D and that they must clear out. So I don't know, they're asking light workers to write it down, pass it around, say it out loud to make sure all of the malevolence know that they are no longer welcome and that they have to leave. And it's the Galactic Federation that is actually giving this direction. So that's to be taken
Galactic
seriously.
Federation sounds very Star Trek. Yeah.
Yes,
I know. I swear, there's so many. Star Trek has some basis in.
Oh yeah.
Actually, a documentary.
Star Wars, Star Trek.
Yeah.
I know about Star Wars. Yeah.
So many. Actually, they say Star Wars was not authentic at all. But yes, there's many other sci-fi movies that have a lot of basis in what it's really like out there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool to think that, we have actually touched in our movies on things that, you can relate to. So it's, I think that's pretty exciting. I'm a sci-fi girl.
Oh yeah. So am I.
So yeah, our collective consciousness is somehow connected to this information, and I align with what you were saying, that we've decided to be here at this time. And for people on these calls and Dean and I who do the work every day to support people in being in heart-centered coherence and in a healed state, we're already in alignment with the path and the practices to do what we benefit from doing. Do you hear anything about that? Like, what are the best ways that we can prepare ourselves or be in a state of readiness for an event like this?
Well, I think, to be open to it is the number one, but I think, there's a lot of things that they're talking about, like on a daily basis, on like how to kind of live with yourself and evolve through this process. And so much of it is, these, the healing energies, all the energies that are coming in right now are triggering a lot of things, and that we all have wounds. We all have, the negative that's stored within our aura and, different places. And that part of this is, it's integrating the light and the dark, and that the dark, the painful things are things that we have to just face them. We have to just face them and then let them go. And so this is a time that they can actually kind of move out. There's a lot of activations on Pinterest that you can get for free. I have three guys that I have followed for different things, and yet Pinterest has a lot of activations that you can get. So I think as you're, how do you prepare yourself? I think you just try to, it's just working on yourself, and it's, remembering, it's looking back through life, and it's just acknowledging those painful moments were painful, but, then all of a sudden, as the observer, they can dissipate and just kind of flow out and be gone. So it's processing. It's like, they want you to feel, but then in the feeling, that's the release. So, I think in evolving to this next step, it's like, I think one of the hardest things for me at a point was, we have to remember that, in the law of one, and the aliens don't talk about this, but they do talk about that we have to remember as individuals that there's a lot of things happening in society that we don't approve of, that are, horrible things, but that this society is one that we helped create. Not consciously. We didn't say, I don't want, I want this horrible thing happening, but we're part of it. We're part of the collective, and that we have to just kind of understand that. And so that as we improve ourselves and that we heal ourselves, that we're healing everything with us. So it's really just working on healing yourself, and in healing yourself, you become lighter and brighter, and that you help bring up the vibration of the consciousness overall. And that's what everyone's doing, right? Those of us that are in this work, that's what we're doing. We're increasing our vibration for the benefit of humanity, of the collective consciousness. And of course, we're also connecting with that new consciousness that is the higher vibration that we're moving to. But we help the existing collective consciousness, because there's so many grids, there's so many grids, but we're human. So we're in the human one as well. So what we do for everyone. That's kind of nice too.
It is nice. It's nice, especially this is the work I do all day, every day, is support individuals and groups in elevating their vibration and their frequency to allow more light to come in. And one of the videos that I shared, I think you were here, Melanie, when we shared the one about the scale of emotional frequency and, getting up to a frequency of love over 500. It said, they made a comment, I think it was Bill McKenna, who was the guy who was talking about it. And he said, when you're vibrating in the love frequency, you help 10 million people beneath you rise up to that love vibration. And I'd never heard that. I'd never heard a number. But as Christine was saying on the call, how do they measure that? I mean, how do they know that that's true? But I do believe that, emotions are contagious. And when we're making choices to be conscious and making choices to keep our vibration elevated, then we are supporting everyone that we come into contact with, we come into interaction with, because we've done our own process. We've met our own pain and our own wounds, and we've transmuted that energy into an elevated frequency. And I really, I've got a strong, clear message that that's what I'm here to do. That's my job. I'm here to do that. And, every day I get up and I do that job. And it's helpful for me because it puts all that in a really good context. That's why, because we've got to get this earth through to the 5th dimension. That's what we
And,
got to do. Just that job.
And it makes sense because, when you smile at someone, that's
Yes.
love. It makes you feel
Yes.
good. Now, when someone doesn't smile at me and I'm walking by, that makes me feel crappy. It's like, well, why didn't they smile? What's wrong with them? You know what I mean? So it does, that vibration makes a huge difference. So yeah.
Doesn't it make you feel, though, when you hear this, doesn't it just make you feel like, oh my God, I want to feel that vibration.
Yeah.
I want to have that smile, and I want to give that out. I want to do that because now I know that's really important and it's doing something. Even if
I
do
feel
nothing
it's
but go
important
for a
to
walk.
compliment. Definitely say, hey, you look good today, or hey, I like that. Because it makes it's love. Give out the good vibrations, the good vibes. We all need more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it puts it in a great context to elevate its importance. I wrote the book, The Habit of Happiness, to support people in understanding how to elevate their vibration. And what I didn't expect in writing the book was to get pushback on happiness.
Really? Yeah.
Well, what the definition is, like what it is.
Yeah, no, so well, we don't have to all be happy all the time. We're not supposed to be happy.
Why not?
We can feel all our feelings. We can be sad if we want to. And that's
it's
not
my
the
party.
That's not the message. And really the message is, yes, we have the full spectrum of emotion. And it's really important to honor the truth of the emotion that we're in, but it's not valuable to indulge in a lower vibration of emotion when you can transmute it, when you know that you can meet it in a compassionate way and then elevate it for the benefit of ourselves and all beings everywhere. Actually, so it puts that message in that reality, that this is not a superficial or a frivolous idea to be habituated into elevated emotional states. It's actually an essential piece of evolving as a planet and as humanity, as a species, which is a whole other conversation, right? It's not just be happy all the time. It's like, well, okay, let's get into our evolutionary journey and make this significant and make it real.
Yes, I agree. We are supposed to have emotions, but it is in the idea of having the emotion and then transmuting it. You're not supposed to, hit it and then stay in it. You hit it, realize it, move it up the chart, right? It's like earlier today there was a face group on Law of One, and and someone made this comment in there, made just kind of a real crabby kind of nasty comment in the group. That was the post was about a negative comment about the way the administrators were handling it. And so anyway, there was a lot of exchange, and then there was one point where the guy that wrote it said, well, according to Ra, I have to have these emotions. It's important I have these emotions. And so I just responded to him and I said, but there is a point in counting to 10 before you act. So maybe you want to think about that. So it's like, I think that there's so many things to learn, but that it doesn't mean because you're being, because you got angry or whatever, it doesn't mean that you have a right to like just rant and rave. It just means, okay, how about as a spiritual being, you take 10 deep breaths and, and then you figure out how you want to address it, so that you can transmute it yourself without contributing to whatever it is.
And I think that's at the heart of the human experience, to navigate the emotional terrain skillfully, consciously and intentionally in consideration of, the impact. It's easier said than done. And, I'm a practitioner and a teacher, and I still have my agitations, and especially I think that we've gone through a year that has been very challenging, that has invited in a lot of those lower vibrations and invited in the potential to get stuck inside those grooves of fear or anger or, negativity. And I think that's a great launch pad. That's a great preparation if we can work with it as an opportunity to help us understand not to live there and not to inhabit that lower vibrational experience. So thank you so much for all your sharing. I want Dean to weigh in because I know you got something to say, Dean.
Well, I started to say it, but then I've been interrupted a few times by people calling me or walking in the room or whatever. But the one thing I was starting to say was that Stephen Greer was talking about this, and he says that the ETs are benevolent mostly, but that when this first contact occurs, and he also says it's imminent, but he says that the government may try to portray the extraterrestrials as a threat, as a way to start a war or whatever agenda they might have around that. And so he's really trying to round people up to promote the idea, that kind of like the perspective that you're talking about, that they are here to help, they're not a threat, we don't need to create all this kind of animosity, fear, war. He says they're going to use it to try to increase the military budget, to create a huge space force and all this nonsense and scare everybody. And just that would just be a disaster if they got away with it.
I know he's got a whole program on this, but I can't remember what it's called. Can you remember what it's called, his program? Because you don't know. I know he's trying to get groups together.
Yeah, he's going to come down here to Arizona.
Oh, interesting.
I think next weekend he's got a group meeting like in Prescott in someone's house for 20 people, but it'll be broadcast. And it's like a meeting to rally awareness that their ETs are good and not to be vilified. You know what I mean? And
what's his name?
Stephen
Greer.
Greer.
So maybe you could put his link on your website, on your Facebook page, so we could find him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll Google him right now, but
yeah,
it was a YouTube video and he thought it might be taken down. But there's a meeting coming up like this weekend that probably will be broadcast on YouTube Live or something.
Are you planning on going?
Well, I'm not physically going. They only have room for about 20 people. Even though it's pretty close to me, I could go.
Yeah. Are you zooming in?
I'm not. Maybe for some of it. I mean, on the weekend I tend to get clients for taking people to the vortexes. So let's see if I can find anything right now.
I know you're doing something, but I'm just wondering, do you have any direct access in your vortex?
Do I have access to what?
Through your vortex to beings from other planets.
Yeah, I've had several dealings with them. I've shared this picture before of, I'll just put it up behind me. When I was here many decades ago, I live right below Airport Mesa Vortex. And when I was here many decades ago with my sister, this image appeared at sunset and it looked exactly like that. It looked like a portal, a rectangular luminous portal in the sky, about that size. I mean, that's huge. And it looked like something that spaceships would come through on their way into or out of this dimension. And then there were 4 of them. They went across. I'll show you exactly where I saw them also, because I live right below that. I lived below Airport Mesa, but across from me is no, this. Not sure, that's maybe not the best view of it, but this is where I live. You know,
Is where you live now or where you lived then?
it's where I was then and where I live now.
Oh, interesting.
Is, you know, this is Sedona. This is West Sedona. And but they were, what you see to the very left side of the screen is Coffee Pot Rock. That's where the thing's set. And let's see. Yeah, this is a good view of it. So up to the left, that's kind of right where I live. But that's Thunder Mountain, and that's where I saw those portals go over, that tall one, the big one, and then they set behind the group of smaller ones that are kind of right there in the middle, just behind my head. So there were 4 of those portals moving across the sky, and then they set there. And I met a lady who sold me a hat in a store, and she said she lives over behind there, and she said there's a big cement, you know, where they produce cement, and that's a big hole in the ground. And she said there's a lot of alien activity over there, and that probably where they were setting was down into that cement pit, which may be an entrance to an underground civilization. So this, what you're looking at behind me, Sedona, from the perspective of Airport Mesa, and I live right below this perspective where the picture is shot. I live in the neighborhood you see down there, but much closer to the bottom of this hill. And so she says you can go over to that cement place and people just zip their lip. They won't talk about what's down there. But there's a feeling like there's aliens living underground this whole area. And I kind of believe it because of some of the interactions with people. You think there really are aliens that are occupying somebody's human body. So this seems to be ground zero, kind of like a major galactic, you know, travel hub kind of here. And there's, I believe, underground civilizations in many places, particularly in the deep underground military bases. Like under Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, which is kind of where the government would be if they, you know, Washington, D.C. was destroyed or something, they'd be under Cheyenne Mountain. And even under a lot of these places like Bohemian Grove in California, in Monterey, where I used to live near, and other places, there are deep underground military bases that have aliens down there already. And so I think they're already here, and I believe some friendly, some not. And I also agree that it's time for the not friendly to get off the planet. And so I think there's kind of a war going on. And
yeah,
and that the administration may, you know, when the aliens become public, may just beat the war drum and use it to fund a lot of military technology in space or whatever. So I'm hoping that doesn't bear fruit. And what Stephen Greer is trying to do is head it off by publicizing it in advance.
Yeah.
Just like other people are trying to head off a war with Russia, in Ukraine by publicizing that in advance, and just kind of putting all the, because of, you know, the plans, you know, you can put a stop to them if you shed light on them early enough, you know. So anyway.
So doesn't
Google
doesn't Stephen's Greer program also like encourage you to open up your own communication with the aliens and give them directions for how to come in? I watched it.
You might know more about it than me, because
yeah,
I thought he has a website called Sirius Disclosure. SIRIUS, you know, the star.
Oh, which is what
Or
Dean was
planet.
talking about today.
yeah. That's one of the websites, Sirius Disclosure.
Is that Stephen Greer's website?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And Sirius is the star system, Sirius.
Right.
Which makes a lot of sense. So April 25th on that website, I'm going to put the link there.
Yeah.
April 25th, there'll be, you can sign up. I'm just going to put the link in here to be part of that online. And that's the one that's happening really close to here. You know, it's not surprising they're doing it here because this seems to be the center of it.
Yeah.
And then there's a documentary, The Cosmic Hoax, an expose. And there's this other thing, The Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Contact has begun.
That's the one, yeah. That's what I looked at, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And he was talking a lot in that one about how there may be a false flag event where the government or the powers that be are mustering up fear to get funding for their own Star Wars agenda that they've got, space investment. You know, there's a lot of interest in space investment. Elon Musk's all on that idea too. So I think probably both things are coming up to a critical mass, a false flag event and a real event. Or the real event being interpreted incorrectly with an agenda sort of around.
In here?
We can't hear you.
Here's something extra coming through.
A little bit.
Like it's a man's voice. Do you
I don't
hear it?
I don't.
I hear a little bit of something like more like a interference kind of.
Yeah, almost like you know, when you get your frequency and you're in between channels, it's almost like that.
Do you think it's one of the aliens coming to say that they're happy that we're having this conversation?
I don't know, but I'll tell you something. I think they would be. And, you know, the other thing that is part of all of this communication that I've seen is that in preparation for this first contact, they also have people here on the ground that are going to be working at making sure that a war doesn't happen when they come down and that things are, you know, kind of, we'll say, readied for them so that the government doesn't just get in there and decide to, you know, have a war with us. So I think there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes to prepare for this first contact. And the more publicity there is, I just, that Stephen Greer event is $75. It's like, it's not a free event, but I think it's great that he's doing it, and anybody else that's doing this, and, you know, and just getting the awareness of the fact that there are benevolent aliens and that they want to help us and that we need it.
So yeah, just to comment on that, Stephen Greer does have an app. I think it's called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, that give you information for communication, for how to communicate, how to locate yourself, and how to attract their communication. So there are things that he does. He's talked a lot about it. He's put his neck on the line a lot because he's been involved with government agencies, hasn't he, Dean? Has he been like in the FBI or CIA?
I mean, he's a scientist. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know much about him. I've never met him, but he's very involved. And by the way, he also says that a lot of the UFOs are actually created by our own government, so that some of the things that are seen are fake, trying to scare us. And so it's really hard to know what's going on. Like, is this a real alien craft, or is it, something that our military made? I'll give you an example. My own uncle was in the Navy, and both he and my father, my father was an Army Ranger. So I come from a military family, but both my uncle and my father died in their 30s. And what I heard from my grandmother, I think it was that my uncle was working on reverse engineering flying saucers. So there, even that long ago, quite a long time ago, in the 60s, I think it was, they were already building spacecraft from, taking apart a crashed alien, vessel and making, the military was making their own versions of it. So we don't know which ones are extraterrestrials, which ones are friendly extraterrestrials, which ones might be just for the false flag to try to create a war. And supposedly that's going on in Ukraine too. Like somebody was trying to set off nuclear weapons and blame it on Russia so they could have a war with them. And then supposedly this Evergreen freighter, the ship that blocked the Suez Canal.
Oh, yeah.
And that's that company, Evergreen, is apparently owned by Hillary Clinton. But at the same time that ship was blocking the Suez Canal for a long time, there was a truck that said the same thing on the side. Evergreen was blocking a highway in China for a long time too. And it was like, why? What a weird coincidence.
Yeah.
and
likely not manufactured.
And so apparently that was costing the powers that be billions of dollars a day, and things not being able to move through the ports and stuff.
So it's about slowing down the supply chain, that whole thing.
Well, and also causing major billions of dollars of loss. But also they were saying that the Ukrainians, there's a video up where this guy from Ukraine is saying, well, what was on that ship took 30 years to create the technology that was going to cause the major Earth climate change disaster event. And they stopped that from happening by blocking that ship and taking the contents off it and destroying it.
Wow.
So that's another thing that when we were talking about earlier, astrologically, Ceres lining up with Eris could be a major climate disaster event, and that may have been averted by removing the contents of that ship. So anyway, these are just some extra little tidbits.
So everything that we're talking about, about the being the potential of this major event, is that configuration supporting that possibility, based on what you were saying earlier about Mother Earth and there being sort of an event. Is that what you said? So if you could
I'm saying that there's a Mother Earth consequence in the cards for this week, you might say.
Hmm.
And it might have been much worse than it will in fact be, because something was, I mean, there's behind the scenes espionage and war. And see, there's also, the other thing that is in the news this week as a consequence was that Biden just sanctioned Russia for the hack, into the 2020 election, for example. And I mean, there's all this cyber warfare going on of hacking. That's the way war is carried out these days, is hacking into each other's, like they hacked into the Defense Department and the intelligence agencies. And so that they can, there's really no secrets anymore. And it's really a weird way to conduct a war, if you think about it. It's just the way that people are being controlled now. It's all surveillance. Everything is like, your computer is keeping track of you. It's right now recording this conversation and being evaluated whether to be censored or not, and things like that. And so all this consequences now are, well, so they're kicking out 10 agents that may have been instrumental in implementing the hacking. And so, there's a huge amount of power struggles and saber rattling going on between the United States and Russia right now over Ukraine and over cyber hacking and possibly over alien, technology, and like which aliens are on which sides of who. And so, I mean, there's so much stuff going on right now in terms of conflict. There's major conflict going on, but it's not necessarily characterized that way. And we're, in the media, we're kind of, they start a ruckus over here, so you don't look over there.
So is that in the astrology, all the conflict that's going on, is that illustrated in the astrology?
Well, the last week or so, Mars was opposite Pluto was the big thing. And it's like a fight to the death almost. Mars opposite Pluto can be a fight against aliens or a fight against evil or a fight against demons or things like that. It's like I felt like I was fighting reptilians over here.
Well, maybe so each of us in our own individual lives have the opportunity to confront and overcome our demons. But I feel like the overall message is that we're supported in breaking free of all this lower vibrational conflict and nonsense and manipulation that's been going on to elevate up above that. Is that in the astrology, that this ascension, is the ascension possibility there? Is this, astrologically supported to be victorious, where the light overcomes these forces of darkness or negativity?
It seems to be coming to a head, and what I hear from a lot of sources, that insider type sources, is that yes, we're winning. The good is winning. But on the other hand, this whole good versus evil duality is an illusion. And so saying that the good side is winning is saying that you believe in the illusion of duality. And so I believe that we are upgrading, and it's more the big picture of the 2012 cycle, where we started a 26,000 year calendar. And that such a long calendar, you don't see it all happen in one day. It's a gradual sunrise, you might say. You know what I mean? Because the sun doesn't just go, you don't just turn on a light, go from pitch black to complete light. We're kind of in a gradual dawning process of a whole new reality. And then the cycle that Greg Braden talked about that you probably saw was that there were, I think it was 5,000 year cycles of conflict and then 5,000 year cycles of peace. And he says we're shifting to the peace cycle. So that's an astrological cycle too. That, you know, sounds good to me, but we seem to be in the darkest hours before the dawn phase in many ways. So,
well, I can say for me that duality does not seem like an illusion. It feels like it's been more clear in reality, like things being divisive, people being opposed, the blue side and the red side, and the finger pointing, and you're wrong and I'm right, and that whole energy has seemed to me to be more intensified than ever. So I am taking that as a sign that it's because, you know, there's the tipping of the scale, you know, in having more light come in, more awareness around the opportunities and the benefits of fifth dimensional reality. So that's what I think, but I'm interested in checking in with everyone else. What do you guys think? That's how I'm holding the space.
I think that
what I notice is
we can't hear you. We can't hear
you. You can't hear me?
No, I can hear you. But Cecile was talking and we couldn't hear her.
Oh, is she muted?
I don't know.
I don't know. Is there something
there
wrong?
you go. Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, so maybe it was just the way I have my computer. I think that the way that that the duality is bearing out in society right now, I think that, you know, the continuing COVID crisis across the planet, it's like, don't you think that the planet is ripe for change? We have so many things that have gotten to an escalated point. What better time would there ever be to have some change happen that could be a light and positive and, you know, show mankind that there's another way? So it seems to me that the muck and the mire are really what's needed to get us to the next step.
Yeah, to help us. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I don't watch the news anymore, so I don't feel it. See, I was feeling it a lot before, but I stopped watching the news. And darn it, every time I happen to get it for a few minutes, somebody got killed. It's like, it's all the time now. People are getting killed constantly. And, you know, of course, the politics are there too, but, you know, it's really horrible.
Yeah.
And you know, the earth changes. There's been a lot of volcanoes erupting lately. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
I mean, all over the world.
Isn't that interesting? Volcanoes going on.
Yeah, volcanoes going up. In fact, I even heard in, you know, like last week in the volcano activity that they were looking at Yellowstone, which we know is the, you know, that's the super volcano. And so I wonder if the, you know, like, if there's something that might happen that is going to be stopped. I mean, that super volcano is something, you know, to think about. I don't know, but the volcanic activity certainly got my attention.
Yeah, because I believe Yellowstone, if that goes, I mean, we're all going to know about it. That's pretty massive.
Yeah, I think it's a planetary event if that actually blew up.
Yeah, if something happened there. So what about you, Melanie and Giovanni? What are you noticing around this conversation about the presence of light and darkness and the duality and the polarities and all of that? What's your reality and your observation of that?
Well, I feel like you can't have one without the other.
True.
Because you only know light if there's darkness, and darkness only if there's light. But I mean, it's hard to to assess it really, because I do feel like seeing things in through a dualistic lens is very polarizing, and it's hurtful. It doesn't feel good. But that is the nature of relative reality. Ultimate reality, of course, there's no duality at all. But that's why I work with you, Michelle, so I can synthesize them both.
So what have you noticed in your day-to-day life? I mean, are you noticing amped up divisiveness and fear and agitation? Or is it just seem like life is kind of always, it's the same for you in your reality?
Well, there are a number of different realities. If I think about me as the individual, I think that I've been preoccupied with my own like unwellness and trying to shift my my thinking. So I've spent a lot of time probably overthinking. If I look at the collective, then yes, of course, it's. I don't think that it's more divisive. I think it's happened in waves. And so there've always been periods of divisiveness. It's been on an obvious level, but I feel like as long as there's, capitalism at work and the haves and the have-nots, that there is always going to be periods that's fraught with sort of fighting and discord. But yeah, the blue and the red, I don't really believe in, these dualistic political parties and all of that stuff. I mean, it's there and you have to make a choice on a relative level, but I try not to get caught up in it, right? Like I resist that and I try to like meditate and try to be even keeled about it. But I also find that when one is trying to be sort of calm, I mean, I think you've heard me talk about this time and time before. I've been around people, I've been, able to access a calm space, and that really sends them off. Like there's a volcanic eruption, the calmer the sea, the more the more the volcano erupts, right? And you just kind of sit there and you observe. But I think that the existence of like these tools, the more people are able to access tools and understand that there are other ways of living and seeing things. Like my mom has always been very positive. She's in a lot of pain right now, but she is always positive. Nothing has changed. It's like 50 years of my mom just being like at that place, no matter what changes she goes through, she just remains that same sort of positive view. And I don't understand. I think that's a coping mechanism. I don't know how deep it goes, but I mean, I guess in seeing all the videos that you've been showing, all the discussions, that I want to see the possibility of other realities.
Other realities meaning other planetary realities,
so
or
they're already there, but I mean like ultimate reality, like a way of existing without being tied to and caught up in dualism. Like, I choose not to carry a gun. I choose to be nonviolent. But why does that mean that someone who is more violent, has a different view, has to make me think the same way that they do, right? Like we don't understand how to, get to this place where the, we can deal with difference.
And that's kind of part of what the fifth dimension invitation is about, for us to break free of our own, postures, our own self-interests, our ego, and our low vibrations and our low ways of functioning, to overcome that so that we can sort of elevate beyond. And I know that you're a practitioner. You've been practicing, you've been on the path of really understanding the value and the importance of being in charge of your own vibration and your own self. So I feel like, you know, where the conversation's been going is that now's the time that you can benefit from that investment that you've made in those choices, and not get pulled down into the lower vibrations or the lower dimensions of reality. And you can make choices to support yourself and those around you to sort of rise above that kind of sort of challenge.
Yeah, I mean, just now I just got a text message. I guess there was some kind of verdict that came in today. And so my teacher had mentioned it earlier, and I had no idea because I've already gone ahead and decided how I'm going to respond. Right. And so, but everyone else is like, you know, they're geared up and they're hyped up and, you know, they want to have these conversations. And it's sort of like things are going to be the way that they're going to be, right? Like they're going to run their course. And I do believe in kind of like a higher justice, you know, but everybody wants you to see things their way, you know? And I just would prefer not to talk about it. So it's like, oh, okay, you know, that's good. You know, I'm glad that you feel good and you feel better, you know, because then, I mean, we can take those good vibes however we get them. So, yeah.
So yeah, we've been discussing a little earlier about this possibility to elevate into this 5th dimensional reality, which seems to be knocking at our door. And just sort of, I wanted to touch base to see what each person's reality is with that. So thank you for sharing, Giovanni. Melanie, I just want to touch base with you in terms of how that's all playing out in your world and your life. Are you there, Melanie? I'll just ask you to unmute if you are. Okay, doesn't look like you can hear me or you're there. So Raymond, hi Raymond.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
Fine.
So what do you think about this conversation and what we're talking about?
I didn't pick up on all of it. Was there a video earlier?
No, we didn't see a video. We just looked at the astrology and we saw how the astrology was supportive of a major Earth event. And that opened up a conversation about the possibility of there being a first contact event from